2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
It's Maggie and Perloff. We're live from Radio Row in New Orleans. It's day 3 here. We are just hitting our stride, I feel like. This is when it starts getting really good because you have fans who are flying in from all over the country, mostly Philly, though, and a little Kansas City. Pearl, we start talking about who has the most at stake in this Super Bowl, and to me the answer is clear and obvious, and I don't think you and I agree on the one person who's feeling the most pressure heading into this game.
Well, I mean, it is a Super Bowl. It is definitely a must-win game, so everyone's feeling pressure, but you think one person stands out above everyone else?
Absolutely, and it's because we live in an era where we are in a quarterback-centric, this is the league. The league is about quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes is already game, set, match as the more dominant quarterback in this matchup. We're talking about him all time. I don't think one game can actually change anything really about Mahomes' I'll say legacy because he's going for the three-peat, but you know, he's either your 1 or 1A, and we're just going to decide where he lands on the Mount Rushmore, not whether he's on it. Jalen Hurts, on the other hand, I think still has major question marks and TBD. And I'm just going to add to this with the particular market that he's playing in. There are some teams where it's just awesome to make the Super Bowl, and you love your quarterback because of that. If Jalen Hurts loses 2 Super Bowls to the Chiefs and their three-peat has 2 Eagles L's on it, I think that the Philly fan base is going to say enough with this guy. They're going to question. They're going to wonder if he cost them a shot at a title.
Well, I disagree because I disagree with your premise. It is not the era of the quarterback. The era of the quarterback died this year. Now it is the era of the running back. I think this team, if they're going to win the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles, it is going to be a Saquon Barkley show. They want to hand him the ball 30 times because they do not want Patrick Mahomes to have the ball. So I think this is going to sound weird. Jalen Hurts is a role player in some sense. He's like a 6-man. He is
That's
not
impossible.
And by the way, he might throw a lot. If he does that, it's just because the Chiefs defense is gearing up for Barkley.
Yeah.
This is not a Jalen Hurts project in Philly. And you're right. No, Philly could easily turn on him. Trust me, they want to turn on him. They're ready.
waiting.
They're always ready to turn on the starting quarterback.
Yeah,
That's
they're
absolutely
salivating.
true. But this is not looking like a Jalen Hurts game. I feel like the Eagles have just a much broader offensive plan, really centered around Saquon Barkley. There's so much more pressure on Patrick Mahomes specifically. That three-peat thing is everything. It's huge. Jalen Hurts, if the Eagles win the Super Bowl, he probably won't win the MVP. He'll probably be Barkley. So I think everything is going to come down to Mahomes. Mahomes has a chance to do something unprecedented. If Mahomes loses this game, so he'll have 3 Super Bowl titles. Then the Mahomes versus Brady debate will be on, but simmering.
Yeah.
It will be fully in our face if he wins this game. This is just a gigantic historical game for him, where Jalen Hurts, just like the last Super Bowl, like you don't quite know what to expect. He could have a great game. He might not have a great game, but he's just not the key part of the Eagles. He threw for 2,900 yards this year. That's like 1982 numbers.
Okay.
That is not era of the quarterback kind of stuff.
Okay, well, yeah, he missed a couple games too, but the total, yes, was down because if you have this weapon like Saquon Barkley and teams can't stop him, well, then you lean into that.
Yeah.
But you don't think that defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo's got something in store for Barkley? Again, like he's faced good running teams. He understands what's going on, and they're going to try to make Hurts the thrower.
Yeah, he faced a good one last game.
Yeah.
James Cook got 6 yards into the secondary before anyone touched him.
I know, but
the Eagles saw that game tape. They're going to do the same exact thing.
They were able to run the ball, and then the Bills kind of went away from it a little bit.
I know.
Let's not get into that because it's going to bring up some bad memories.
The second
for me.
I said that, I was like, oh boy.
My face
I
just
saw
dropped.
A flash of disappointment across your mind.
All of a sudden, I'm looking like Luka at the press conference, just slumped over in a chair.
The Chiefs knew the Bills wanted to run the ball and couldn't stop them. So I think the Eagles are going to commit to the run. Even if it's not working great at first, I think that's coming their way.
Okay, but here's the thing. I do think that they will learn something from that game. James Cook, Saquon Barkley, very different runners. And I also believe, and this is why Jalen Hurts has the most at stake. You know, to be fair, Hurts played a really great game against the Chiefs in Super Bowl 57.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Outside of a fumble that led to a scoop and score by Nick Bolton. The Eagles were up 14-7, and this was midway about through the second quarter, and they were driving. And Jalen Hurts ended up not getting maybe as much smoke as he probably should have for that, considering the game came down to, it ended up being a shootout. Jalen Hurts has over 300 yards passing in that game, and it was a James Bradbury defensive holding that ultimately set up the Chiefs for the win. But let's not forget some of the details here. Mm-hmm. The Eagles had a 6-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They allowed the Chiefs to score 17 points in the fourth quarter and lost that game. If Jalen Hurts has another bad turnover, it's going to be, we saw it in Super Bowl 57, we saw it again in Super Bowl 59. Now, to Hurts' credit, he is not throwing picks. I'm going to knock on wood for you. He is not throwing picks in these playoff games.
He's not throwing picks. He's not
Ever.
a picks guy. He's
not a picks guy.
Him and Mahomes do not give the ball up much.
Okay, but we have to envision a scenario where the Chiefs do have a game plan for Barkley, and now all of a sudden it's Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown who become the major thing, and you then are opening yourself up. Obviously, you become more vulnerable there. So I think Jalen Hurts, this is it. You and I talk about, legacy. Jalen Hurts, when this was 2 years ago, there were people who believed that he was on a rocket ship to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. He got paid, but we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles trade guys out of town like Carson Wentz, who they also paid.
Who also was on a rocket ship
who
to
was
be the
also
number
on a
one
rocket
quarterback.
ship.
Yep.
You're right. And Howie Roseman, the GM for the Eagles, just the only loyalty is to whatever he thinks is best for the team. And you love that in a GM. But if I'm Jalen Hurts and if I come up short in this game, I'm probably looking around like, man, is Howie going to replace me?
Well, the other thing, too, is, there's no way Jalen Hurts – I'm sorry, there's no way he's going to have as good a game as he did last time. Is that possible? That was almost the perfect game. I've never seen him – he was really good in the NFC title game, by the way, but he was perfect in the Chiefs game. He kept on running away from pressure and finding guys. He has not had a game like that since. So I don't –
So was it a one-off? Who's the real Jalen Hurts?
I don't think that Jalen Hurts is available anymore. I'd be shocked. If he had, a perfect rating again, I will be shocked. but they don't need it. That's like this is a.
They may though.
Let me ask you a question, Maggie.
Yeah.
Is this team better than the last team?
I think this team is better.
I know you think that,
Yeah.
and guess what? That means less Jalen Hurts. That means
Okay.
Saquon Barkley possess the ball, set up this ferocious defense. It's
Listen.
a totally different formula.
Okay, but let's take this thing like the global 30,000 foot view.
Yeah.
100+ million people are going to be watching this game.
Mm-hmm.
Where are everyone's eyes? On the quarterback. Something bad happens. Jalen Hurts is going to wear it because that is how this works. And no one's going to look back and say, well, this was really a group project and Jalen Hurts was the sixth man or whatever you're saying. And I understand it because you watch every Eagles game. We watch every Eagles game. But in front of 100+ million people, if something happens, we saw, people blaming Lamar Jackson, people blaming Josh Allen. The blame generally goes to the quarterback when things
because
go
those
bad.
guys are the entire offense,
Well-
except for I know Lamar Jackson has Derrick Henry. Okay, let's look at some stat lines here. As I mentioned, Jalen Hurts was on fire in the NFC title game against a terrible defense. Threw for 246 yards. In the game before that against the Rams, 128 yards. It was bad weather. And against Green Bay, 131 passing yards. These are pedestrian numbers. They're not even pedestrian. These are Tim Tebow numbers. So I don't think
Tim catching a stray.
I honestly think that they really want a lot of Saquon. I mean, of course, that is the formula. You do not want Patrick Mahomes on that field.
Okay.
But by the way, the Chiefs are the same way. They're going to try and possess the ball as well. This is going to be a slog of a game, possibly, because the defenses are really good.
So here's the thing. You know that Saquon Barkley is the focal point of the offense. I know it.
Yep.
You don't think Steve Spagnuolo knows it?
Spagnuolo knew the Bills never pass the ball. The Bills don't pass the ball either, and he had no answer for their run.
Yeah, but James Cook is not the same focal point of the offense. Josh Allen is still the focal point. Like, it's a different game plan.
The Eagles won't go as run heavy as the Bills did in the second half of that game. The Eagles have never done that, a whole drive without passing.
I can see this as coming down to Jalen Hurts and his ability to get the ball to the playmakers who, let's be honest, if you put it on paper, the Eagles have the better playmakers.
Right.
So why you wouldn't use them in the biggest game of the year doesn't make sense. And we also saw in Super Bowl 57, Devontae Smith, big game, A.J. Brown, big game. Devontae Smith had over 100 yards receiving, and A.J. Brown almost got there. So they're going to pass, I think. No, there was no Barkley. Kenneth Gainwell is not Barkley.
And Miles Sanders.
And Miles Sanders, excuse me.
Yeah. Gainwell was a big part of that, too. So,
Miles Sanders, Saquon Barkley's backup at Penn State.
So, Steve Spagnuolo, the Chiefs defense coordinator, he wants the Eagles to pass the ball, right? That's his goal. He's going to stop.
Well, pick your poison.
So, if you're Nick Sirianni and Kellen Moore, I think you do not play into their hands and start passing because you do not want 3rd and 10 going against Steve Spagnuolo. You want to stay conservative. Just do not put Jalen Hurts in the position to make that bad play, Maggie. It's all about game management. Don't let him throw an interception because he's never going to throw it.
855-212-4227. We're here on Radio Row in New Orleans, but that doesn't mean we can't hang out. You guys can call us. We can chit-chat. EJ, can we throw a poll question up, please, at M&P? More at stake in this game, Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes? I think you're crazy if you think it's Mahomes, because Mahomes, he's hovering above everyone except for Brady. Like, that's the last thing we're looking for, and Jalen Hurts isn't even close to that conversation.
Right, but Mahomes might not get another chance at a three-peat. Like, this is one great chance at history, and also Mahomes is a much more central part of his team than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is clearly the second star on this offense behind Saquon Barkley. Where Mahomes is really the entire Chiefs offense in a weird way. I know they have Kelsey.
Yeah.
But we actually thought, remember week 1 this year, the Chiefs started off against the Ravens. Isaiah Pacheco was running like crazy. We're like, wow, they're really good. They're going to have a star running back this year. They're going to have, but look, what happens against the Bills? It's like, it's Mahomes. It's Mahomes. They never scored more than 30 all year long. Then all of a sudden they put 32 against the Bills. It's the same awesome Chiefs Mahomes thing.
Let's hear from Jalen Hurts addressing the media yesterday. Manny, let's hear cut 20. Hurts on those who still doubt that he's an elite quarterback.
It's not about them. It's always about the work you put in and everything being a reflection of the work. And so I've always had a focus on myself and trying to improve and ultimately want to beat the opponent, whoever's in front of you, but just trying to improve and take it a day at a time.
And Jalen Hurts also saying that he is grateful for this chance to avenge the loss 2 years ago.
You put a lot of hard work in for moments like this. Lots of hard work, lots of time, lots of energy, and it's a blessing to have this opportunity.
Okay, so I think he said it also the loss lit a fire under him.
Yeah.
And I know you're not big on, well, if you need these kind of motivational things, like shouldn't the motivation just be coming from inside? I think that Hurts feels like he has a lot at stake here.
I don't just believe that. It lit a fire, and all of a sudden he started throwing for 40% less the next season and third. Like, what happened? If it lit a fire, why did he get objectively worse?
Well, he can't go rogue. He's got to go in the game plan, right?
Lit a fire in him, and he kind of disappeared for 2 years.
He was roasting marshmallows over that fire.
It was a little shocking how good he was against the Commanders. Like, whoa, we haven't seen that guy forever. It is interesting. I just, so the way he talked, it doesn't feel like there's a fire under Jalen Hurts. He just feels like a cool customer. Like, that's why I don't expect him to panic in the Super Bowl. He seems a bit not oblivious to the pressure. He's just a different kind of quarterback. I don't see him going out there and having a Jared Goff multiple turnover game.
Right, Justin Herbert, something like that.
Yeah.
Well, Hurts did address that. Manny, Let's Play Cut 19 says finishing is most important in these games.
Coming to these opportunities in these games, everything is about finishing. You want to have the right focus in that, and that comes with the preparation, the work that you put in. But ultimately, it's about finishing.
Yeah, and that's what the Chiefs have hung their hat on. That's their hallmark. We'll see if the Eagles can snatch a little. 855-212-4227. Who's got more at stake in this game? Is it Jalen Hurts or is it Patrick Mahomes? Perloff says Mahomes for going for history and all that's on the line. The comparisons to him and Brady will be forever if he can pull off this three-peat. And then, and I think it's Hurts. So, real talk. We had a celebrity sighting yesterday. Maybe Perloff's favorite player, one of your favorite players of all time.
Celebrities. Oh, so athlete.
An athlete. Not current.
Maybe.
A god in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
A god amongst men.
Well, I know, but
We-
with the slight injury, though.
Well, always, but he's still effective.
No, he shook my hand. I have a slight
Oh.
injury. That dude is so strong. It was crazy.
Yes, it was Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson. Perloff always says the key to everything for Philadelphia is all about Lane Johnson.
If Lane Johnson's not on the field, they might as well not show up.
And so yesterday when we were waiting for our Uber to go to the crawfish boil, of which Perloff and I had a major bet yesterday that was paid off, a major competition contest that we'll get more into as the show goes on. It was intense. It was... I'm like trailing off into the distance. It was a lot of crawfish. Anyway, got to talk to Lane Johnson.
Awesome. A very nice man.
And he shook your hand like really strongly.
Yeah.
'Cause
EJ,
he didn't shake
shook
my
your
hand
hand too,
strongly.
right?
Yeah, he shook my hand.
He's
Yeah,
a-
it was firm. It was firm.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't feel like my hand was crushed.
For
but it
me,
was
he
definitely
got me good. Not quite Adrian Peterson style, but
Yeah.
honestly, for him, it was like the effort of flicking off a fly off of, but he's just like he's a much stronger man than Andrew Perloff.
It's funny. This is obviously something that women don't deal with ever. The man handshake and who's got the is it a competition every time you shake another man's hand?
Well,
who's got the firmer grip?
The entire world has changed. Though. Handshakes are weird now. After COVID, handshakes is people fist bump.
Right.
Or elbow
He went in
bump.
for the handshake.
Yeah.
That was him. I would have done
say-
whatever.
I'd say the number of handshakes at the Super Bowl is down 100%. It's like half.
Yeah,
because it's just weird. If you think about it, it's kind of gross, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is why I think
You
people in
fist bump.
Japan always bow. It's like it's
Yeah.
way more sanitary.
Yeah, fist bump. And now people don't even want to do fists, so they elbow each other. Have you noticed that?
Don't be an elbow person.
Yeah,
Unless
and
you're actively sick.
A
Or your
hug.
hands are
A hug is actually less gross than a handshake.
Lots of hugs. I mean, it's that type of thing. But I'll say Lane Johnson, really nice person for the brief interaction we had in the lobby of the hotel. We know someone in common, so that helped. The great JR, Jim Ross, is mutual friends, and he didn't shake my hand hard though. But that would have been weird. That would have been odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if Pearl agrees, but I think there's a difference if I was a man,
Definitely.
the woman handshake and the man handshake.
Of course.
I'm not coming in to crush
that would be weird.
Diana Rossini's hand if I get to shake her hand. You know what I'm saying? That's a different different mindset.
Yeah, and
I mean-
it's just though women don't have this dynamic where I feel like men, it's like you judge each other on your handshakes. Like, don't you?
Yeah, but
like, I'm sure my husband will teach my son, like, gotta have a firm
Yeah.
handshake, son.
No longer a thing.
Okay.
Because of
Because of COVID.
nobody handshakes. Yeah, the handshake was like I really think like
Can you
I've
put
been.
that on the poll? Are handshakes out?
Oh my God, there's no. I guarantee it's like 80%. It's not. It's kind of a weird thing to do.
It was such a big thing, and now it's just gone.
I don't know. Do you shake people's hands?
I shake tons of hands.
Well, when you meet somebody the first time, you shake their hands.
I
but
put
when
the
you see
hand
them the
out.
second time, you do not.
I'm shaking hands all the time.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'm doing it to avoid the hug, I'm going to be honest. So it's a preemptive, I put my hand out so that it doesn't get weird and I've got to awkwardly hug somebody like Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers and it's just like, butt out.
I mean, listen, we all have the ultimate guide in how this works. Tiger Woods. Remember the Tiger Woods?
Oh yeah.
The
Sup,
awkward.
big dog. Sup, big dog.
Yeah. Just like, I am so
like
awkward.
90-degree
I'm putting it
hand.
here, so we're going to do the bro hug, and you don't have to worry about it. And it's just like, oh, this guy's so stiff.
Oh my gosh, I got bro hugged the other day. It's so off-putting when it's a woman. It's not part of like my nature.
Another woman bro hugged you?
No, that would be out of the solar system if another woman bro hugged
I'll
me.
say this though. This is
A man
that,
did.
to be honest, that's the most respectful thing I think a man can do is to give you the bro hug.
But the problem is for women, that's maybe true. I've never thought about it, but I'm not ready for it like you guys
I
are
know.
because no one ever does that to women.
Did you ever see the viral video of when Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union were sitting front row at an All-Star game, and J. Cole comes up, the rapper. He gives Dwayne Wade the hand dap bro hug, and he looks at Gabrielle Union. It just does the same thing, hand dap bro hug, because that's it just we're friends. We just,
being respectful
being
of another man's
respectful.
wife.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's funny. Didn't want probably a viral moment. 855-212-4227. Are handshakes out? Most important poll today. And 2, who's got more at stake in this game? Is it Patrick Mahomes? Is it Jalen Hurts? Let us know what you think. We're live from Radio Row in New Orleans. Awesome guest list today. Really excited to talk to some of these heavy hitters. We're back in a minute.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Flowing out doubt, saying my stream skills are playing tricks now. Side cups glitching, Ryan's cutting out. Stepping most frozen with the pixelated shout. But Maggie and Perloff, smooth as can be. Crystal clear feed, perfect HD. Now they're asking, is it sabotage? Or just a case of technical mirage? Blame it on Kaplan, yeah, go ahead. Sam pulling wires while the lights go red. But if it's true, then answer me this. What's the light? Always missing shit. It ain't my fault, I swear to the sky. Maybe Peter's job was to fix the Wi-Fi, but he's MIA, going like the wind, just like his promise to pay for mistakes again. Smooth as can be, crystal clear feed, perfect HD. Now they're asking, is it sabotage? Or just a case of technical mirage? Blame it on Kaplan, yeah, go ahead. Say I'm pulling wires while the lights go red. But if it's true, then answer me this. Watch the light, always missing shifts. town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff show. We've been following our next guest, his career. It's been a rocket ship. It's Nate Tice. He's a Yahoo Sports NFL analyst. He's a former quarterback at Wisconsin, of course. And he's the host of Football 301. Let me get this right. Football 301 on Yahoo Sports with Matt Harmon and Charles McDonald. It's a fantastic listen, especially if you are geeky about the NFL. Nate, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, geeky is a good way to put it. Yeah, and then even they said the Football 301, they're like, this is great for SEO. So like and I was like, fine. We've got a number in it. We got football in it. A little pretentious, but no, it's a lot of fun because we get into the weeds a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you're geeky, but you guys can beat people up. Unlike me, I'm just a geek without the size.
That is the irony of all of it. Two of us played, and the other guy, Matt Harmon, who's really good with receivers and fantasy, reception perception, he's like 6'3", 250. So
you're an intimidating pod. We get it, Nate. We get it. Intimidating more than us. Okay, so we were just actually, before you came on, talking about some quarterbacks in this class. I know we got the Super Bowl to get to and all that, but it's always draft season around here. So Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, who do you see as the better of the two?
I have Cam Ward as my QB1 right now, and I think that's not going to change, even with the combine and everything to come. A lot of it, but it's all with a grain of salt and context. He's QB1 in this class. He would have been probably QB5 last year if I had to rank it, maybe even lower. But I think that's where I look at him, and when my big board will come out, my updated one, he'll probably be in my teens. And this is the difference between a big board and where they go in the actual draft. Quarterbacks always kind of have that half-round inflation, sometimes full-round inflation if you're talking about like maybe a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix. But with these guys I think Cam Ward has the upside that you want from a real needle-moving quarterback. And I think if you watch the playoffs, especially the AFC, it's really run game, and do you have a quarterback that can do stuff and create? And I think that's what Cam Ward is, like a Diet Coke Steve McNair, where it's like he's got size. He's not the most excellent runner, but he's a good runner. He's got a good arm, maybe not an excellent arm, but he can create, and he can do stuff off script. And that's what you want. You want the Mahomes, the Josh Allens, the Lamars, the Joe Burrows. You want to do stuff in structure, and then you want to create out of structure. he can do a little of both. Are they both perfect? No, but he's the one that I would take a chance on in the top 10, which, again, it's a big mark. I have Shedeur as more a guy on my big board that would be like late 20s. But, again, quarterback desperation is so real. We see how many open seats there are at quarterback in the league right now. There's only so many that can fill them. So if I'm Sam Darnold's agent, I'm the happiest guy in the world because I'm just going like, yeah, I see that class. I see what's going on. So I think it's going to be real interesting which guy gets bumped up. And there's rumors from other guys and interest as coaches are getting their eyes on these guys. So you saw some Jackson Dart hype, which I don't agree with. But then you saw other names kind of coming up. But those are really the two. And then it's kind of it's truly dart throws this year. And that's how the draft class is this year. Not a lot of blue chippers. So.
Nate, you mentioned the running game coming up. Like it was a year of the running back.
Yeah.
Ashton Genty, we're on in Boise.
Yeah,
I'm seeing him in mock drafts between 5 and 15, which, the trend of not drafting running backs might be dying after this year. Do you see him going high?
I do. He's the talent. He's one of those blue chippers. Like Dan Brugler from The Athletic and I had a show last week, and he offhand goes, how many blue chips, blue chips is true first-round grade. Guys go in the first round, but they're great. There's 32 spots. They got to get filled. To me, it's like 4, 5, and he's one of them. Ashton Genty is one of them. And to me, in this class, too, because the best players are not at those typical positions that go high, it's a really good defensive line class, not just edges, but defensive tackles. It's a really good running back class. It's a really good tight end class. Receivers, offensive line, okay. Quarterbacks, okay. So I think that it's more of a BPA, best player available. And that's why I think Genty will go high because of that, because of the lack of other premium spots. And also there is sometimes it's chasing the leader, and it's something I believe in anyways, but if we're going to give a guy 20 touches, you might as well be good. If we're going to give a running back this many touches, I know there's the whole running backs don't matter kind of movement, which I think a lot of people are realizing they actually do. It's because the floor is so high for running backs. You can find replacement level running backs, but a good running back is still a good running back, and we see that with some of these teams. So I see him going high or a team even maybe moving up for him because he can play all 3 downs. He can pass protect, he can catch, so he's on the field, and that's impactful to the game. So, yeah, I see him going top 15.
Nate Tice knows what he's talking about. Nate Tice is a Yahoo Sports NFL analyst, and he's the host of Football 301 on Yahoo Sports and former quarterback who played at Wisconsin. We'll get into that in just a little bit. You mentioned Sam Darnold, and his agent would be salivating because he's got all these options now. Didn't play well the last 2 games. Seemed like he got exposed just a little bit, and considering his history – is it sustainable? 1, and 2, where do you think is a good fit for him?
So the fan fiction that I've kind of been writing in my head is the Titans. Just because, I don't know. I think the Titans have a lot more pieces than people realize. I think their defense is actually – they kind of gave up in the last month or 2 of the season once they kind of like, we're going with this guy again, meaning Will Levis. But I think they have better players than people realize. And their offensive line with Bill Callahan as a coach, they have Calvin Ridley, so they have a de facto number 1. So they actually have decent pieces, I think more than people realize. To me, it's more of a vet quarterback situation than a rookie quarterback situation with that. Like where it's like they want to get a guy and launch from there.
Yep.
In this fiction that I've written of him going to Tennessee, I'm still scared of the right tackle, and pressure obviously makes Darnold come unraveled, and we saw that in the last couple games. And I thought those last couple games were a great instance of like, yes, we see something happen on TV, but once you see the big picture on film and everything, you see, this happened with the offensive line. I think the Vikings offensive line falling apart was kind of an underrated storyline with them. It's why even when they made the playoffs, I was like, I picked against them when they went against the Rams because I was like, I just don't trust the line. Their interior line was giving up more pressures than anybody. Cam Robinson, who they traded for, had the highest pressure rate allowed of any starting tackle. So all that pressure, I was like, this is going to pop. Like as soon as they play a defensive line. So Darnold has to go somewhere with the line. More than receivers or anything, because he has a high-end thrower, he has to be protected because that's when you see bad Sam. I call him Dice Roll Darnold. I like Sam Darnold, too, because he has those high-end stuff.
The Sam Darnold to Tennessee Titans fan fiction in the entire genre, fan fiction might be the worst fan fiction I've ever heard in my life. Like, who's going to read that fan fiction? But that would mean they would pass on the number 1 pick. Do you see that as a realistic option?
I think they should be hyping up Cam Ward as the greatest player they've ever seen, and just going like, man, we had Steve McNair. This is just like him.
Okay,
and then
not the Diet Coke.
Not the Diet
Steve
Coke.
McNair
No, actually Coke plus.
So you do expect them to take a quarterback.
I want them to move on, find a quarterback answer. So, but I was saying that they hype up Cam Ward to move out of that pick.
I see.
And get more pieces with it, and move back, go into still and stay in the top 10, and then find a better player. Like I said, there's not a lot of blue chips, but I think there's still good players in this class. So something that maybe find a tackle that you wouldn't take at 1, but now we got 7, and we got the quarterback answer. They have the cap space for it, so.
It'd be great because those notebooks that you filled out with Sam Darnold Titan uniforms, sketches,
right?
We could find something to do with it.
And now the Raiders, too, is the other team.
Well, okay, that's the other fan fiction I want to ask you about, and this is someone, obviously, tight relationship, Russell Wilson, Wisconsin quarterback, so I'm sure the brotherhood there, very, very strong. Is it a better fan fiction for him to stay in Pittsburgh or to go to the Raiders and be reunited with Pete Carroll?
I actually think Arthur Smith with the Steelers actually try to do an offense that fits Russell. And I think Russell, we watched those Wisconsin years. That is the best version of what Russell plays in. Good run game, heavy play action, launch it. And his creation ability has dropped off with age, but he still can throw a beautiful deep ball and everything. Why I'd be scared with Russell going to the Raiders, I know the Pete Carroll connection, Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly likes his quarterbacks to be more efficiency monsters, nickel and dime, make a ton of quick, good decisions. He had a line years ago when I think he was with the Eagles, and someone asked him, who would be your ideal quarterback? And we all thought like Mike Vick or something like that, and he goes, Rajon Rondo.
The point guard.
And everyone's like, what? A point guard.
Yeah.
And so that's not Russ. Russ is a big play hunter. And so that's why I don't really see that connection working. But like a Sam Darnold, again, is more of a big play hunter too. So like that's like, but I still see that. I mean, the fact that they paid $6 million to Chip, because they got that new ownership money, that signals that they might be attacking things differently in Vegas now. So that's why I am keeping my eye on them, because that might be something they launch for.
Do you understand why Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland? And if you're another team, would you give up multiple first rounds for him?
I would. I think because, yes, he's 29, but this is the prime of a pass rusher's career. I don't know if multiple firsts. It's more, to me, it's a first and change. Because also he is 29, but he hasn't missed a lot of time in his career as well. I mean, he had the suspension the 1 year. But I think that look at some of the teams that can maybe use an edge rusher. Every team could use an edge rusher. But you look at like the Commanders, ton of cap space, need an edge rusher. Kind of, hey, we got a rookie quarterback that's real, a rookie quarterback contract. All right, let's push. Kind of what the Texans try to do this year. But like, I think I understand why Garrett wants to leave. I mean, it's a mess there. And if you look at the contracts that they have, like this last year, the 2025, like their whole offensive line is basically free agents after this year. Like this is a resetting team. And so I think he sees that writing on the wall. He's like, get me out of here while I can.
Nate Tice, the podcast is Football 301 on Yahoo Sports. He's a Yahoo Sports NFL analyst. You can hear the pod with Matt Harmon and Charles McDonald. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me,
Great
guys.
talking with you.
Yep.
Okay, let's turn our attention to Andrew Bogusch, who's got all the headlines this morning. Hey, Bogusch.
Guys, good morning. Those headlines sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Your small business keeps you on the go. Progressive Commercial Insurance keeps your policy within reach with our easy-to-use mobile app. Learn more at progressivecommercial.com. The Mavericks' first game without Luka was a 43-point loss in Cleveland. The Lakers' first game without Anthony Davis went much, much better.
Bronny backs it out.
They want him to shoot it. There you go.
There it is, a three by Bronny. Good! Bronny James buries a three. How about that?
That's John Ireland on Lakers radio. The Lakers beat the Clippers so badly last night, they let LeBron's kid come out of the stands and shoot a three for fun.
Did he win a car?
Dad had 26 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists in this 122-97 final. As for the big trade, we're still supposed to believe LeBron didn't know it was going down. He said last night he was as shocked as the rest of us Saturday night.
But then when AD called me, I talked to him for quite a while. And even when I got off the phone with him, it still didn't seem real. And it still pretty much didn't seem real until I saw Luka today. And then I saw a clip of AD at the Dallas shoot-around.
Anthony Davis was with the Mavs last night in Philly, but did not play in a 118-116 loss to those Sixers. Joel Embiid was back, 29 points, 11 boards, 10 helpers in his first game since January 4th.
Hey, Perloff, I heard that Joel Embiid said that he hopes to be back for good. Do you believe him?
Yeah.
Like as a human being or a basketball player?
I believe as a basketball player,
back
Maggie.
doing what?
I expect him to be limping in the second round of the playoffs because I've seen it every year forever. Even if he's back, like what percentage? Forget it.
Wait, hold on.
You're not going to goad me with this.
Wait, I have a question for you. I know that EJ's trolling Pearl, and that's always encouraged on the show. But do you think Joel Embiid saw this trade and was like, ooh, maybe I should get my act together because I could get traded and I might miss out on some money? I don't know.
I don't think anyone would, for a long time, the Sixers were like, let's do everything so Joel Embiid doesn't leave. Now I don't know if anybody would take him.
Oh, got it. Okay,
I mean,
so
he's like old
expected.
Zion. I mean, I don't think
I
his
agree.
value is not good right now. But yeah, you could be right. Like
Maybe he gets motivated off of this.
yeah, but what
A hearty
motivation
laugh.
does he need? I mean, is it being
Surely you jest.
Isn't being an NBA player motivation enough? Like,
Oh.
why would this change anything?
Bogusch, what do you think?
Yeah, he means I'm back for good for February. Like, he thinks the season ends at the end of the month.
The
That's
Sixers,
the best
by
he
the
could
way,
do.
It's the best use of one day at a time is Joel Embiid. That
Yeah.
that phrase "one game at a time" was invented for that dude.
The Sixers are 20-29, and I'm like, oh, okay, maybe they should just tank it. They're like 3 games out of the 3 seed in the East. The East is so bad after the top 3 teams. So it's really weird. They're going to make the playoffs with a drastically losing record, so who knows?
What else you got, Bogusch?
The Celtics 112-105 winners in Cleveland, and the Rockets lost in Brooklyn 99-97. Houston on a season-worst 4-game skid. Men's number 1 Auburn took care of Oklahoma 98-70. The Tigers have won 14 straight, including a 9-0 start in the SEC. 9th-ranked Michigan State, a 63-61 loss at UCLA. The Bruin win streak is now 6, 5 of those wins coming against ranked teams. Kicker Mason Crosby is retiring after not finding a job this season. He is the Packers' all-time leading scorer, 11th all-time. And on ice, a buzzer beater for Alex Ovechkin.
Verhaeghe turning, firing, and a puck knocked away. Ends up far circle. Ovechkin maybe at the horn. Can he get it away? It counts, I think. Oh, it's close. It's over. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Florida.
That's John Walton on Caps Radio. The empty net goal went in just before the clock hit all zeros, so Ovechkin gets career goal number 878, now 17 away from passing Wayne Gretzky for the most all-time, and his Caps beat the Panthers 6-3. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thanks so much. Coming up, we've got the odds-on favorite to land Myles Garrett if a trade is indeed made. We know that the Cleveland Browns future Hall of Fame pass rusher wants out. So who and where will he go? We got that for you next. It's Maggie and Perloff from Radio Row.
Yo, Davey in the chat saying Captain's got a plan. Yo, Davey in the chat saying Captain's got a plan. But let me set the record straight. Ain't no wires in my hat. Zach Gebb lagging Ryan's going static. Steppenwolf's frozen, it's cinematic. But Maggie and Perloff, the stream beat magic. Clear as the day, got a feeling ecstatic. And now the villain, just a goat. Infinity Sports running in my notes. Daily you tripping, I'm pressing these buttons. Ain't my fault that Bilotti ain't rushing. Kaplan ain't crashing, Kaplan ain't stopping. My stream's so smooth, man, they never be dropping. Bilotti still ghosting, snakes ain't arrive. Dudes at home, while I keep it live. Sabotage, man, that's just a joke. I make it run clean, while your Wi-Fi's broke. Saying Kaplan's got a plan, but let me set the record straight. Ain't no wires in my hand. Zach jump lagging, Ryan's go static. Steppenwolf's frozen, it's cinematic. But Maggie roll off the stream beam magic. Clear as the day, got a feeling ecstatic. Not the villain, I'm just a goat. Infinity Sports running in my notes. Daily you tripping, I'm pressing these buttons. Ain't my fault that Bilotti ain't rushing. Kaplan ain't crashing, Kaplan ain't stopping. My stream's so smooth, man, they never be dropping. Bilotti still ghosting, snakes ain't arrive. Dudes at home, while I keep it live. Sabotage, man, that's just a joke. I make it run clean while your Wi-Fi's broke. Yo, Davey in the chat saying Captain's got a plan. But let me set the record straight. Ain't no wires in my hat. Zach Gebb lagging Ryan's going static. Steppenwolf.
Throwing blame, saying I'm playing some digital games.
2 minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff Show. Live from New Orleans, site of Super Bowl 59. Pearl, that music is the Cowboy Quickie music. And the Cowboys very far away from the Super Bowl, as we know. Sorry, Cowboys fans. However, there was a little bit of news. So Myles Garrett has requested a trade from the Cleveland Browns, and at least one Vegas sportsbook is putting the Dallas Cowboys as the odds-on favorite to land Garrett at 4-1. Now, that's just one place. If you look around, you can get a lot of different answers to this question, including odds-on favorite is actually returning to Cleveland, the Commanders, the Raiders.
I would bet
the Detroit Lions
returning to Cleveland.
So that's plus 300 at DraftKings. But again, at least at one Vegas sportsbook, you can get the Dallas Cowboys at 4-1 odds to land Myles Garrett, and that is your Cowboy Quickie.
I looked at a lot of lists. You see the same teams over and over again. Commanders, Lions, Bears, a lot of Bills talk. A lot of Bills. I have not seen anybody link them to the Cowboys, which is great on those odds because, you know, Jerry has to pay him, and apparently Jerry is the cheapest billionaire in the history of the planet. It's been uncovered in the last couple of years, hence hiring Brian Schottenheimer this offseason. So he's going to hire Brian Schottenheimer and then be like, well, you know what? I'm going to pay this guy more money than any defensive end's ever gotten to play into his 30s. It just seems counterintuitive the way he's been going.
Well, the other part, too, is you're going to have to pay Micah Parsons. So that's a lot of money on that defensive, you know, like for a pass rusher, for a defense. Parsons like a outside linebacker. But you know what I'm saying? So I don't see the Cowboys as a potential landing spot. And the other part is I don't even want to get the Cowboys really. I resisted even getting the Cowboys into this conversation because once the Cowboys get a whiff of this and realize that there's clicks to be had and there's questions to be asked, they're going to like string this thing along just to fake the fact that they're actually in on Myles Garrett. Well, they actually aren't, just to get a little publicity.
I don't know if you're name one free agent they've ever been linked to. People ask them, everyone else on earth is like, you're going to sign Derrick Henry. You're going to sign Derrick Henry. Like, Nah, that's not really our thing. They've never gone after.
Well, not a
agent.
player, but the Dion stuff came out pretty fast after they went away from Mike McCarthy, and it looks like that was never ever happening. So they love doing stuff for clicks.
Right. You're right, because the Cowboys love doing stuff for clicks, but Dion is a wallflower. Were you
perfect
sure
marriage.
that's not the? Yeah, Dion could have put that out just as easily as the Cowboys.
So
And everyone knew.
Yes.
Everyone was going after Ben Johnson, all these flashy names of the Cowboys. Nobody was linked to. I mean, Dion was loosely linked to them. They're like, no, we're not in on these big names. They didn't even interview them. They're the only team that did interview like the good coaches.
Well, now we're just talking about the Cowboys coaching situation, but the news peg is that Myles Garrett, at least at one sports book, Cowboys are the odds-on favorite. But let's talk about it because there's like a reporting now, Diane Rossini and others, that the Cowboys really weren't expecting to be doing a coaching search. And the fact that it broke down with Mike McCarthy, I think, Jerry, we talked about it before this happened, that they were going to bring back McCarthy. And something happened in the negotiation because they interviewed 4 different people. 2 of them were former offensive coordinator. Well, their current offensive coordinator, Schottenheimer. Kellen Moore was the other, the former OC. And then Robert Saleh and I believe, was it Leslie Frazier, the other? And those 2 guys were, Robert Saleh, come on. Like, how could you hire somebody after they just failed with the Jets? And I think it was Leslie Frazier. I hope I'm right on that. I'm doing it off the top of my head. And those 2 gentlemen would also have satisfied the Rooney Rule. So they just got caught here. I really believe that, and I don't think Ben Johnson wanted any part of the Dallas Cowboys, clearly.
Well, I don't think the Cowboys wanted any part of him.
Or they didn't want any part of him.
Because they don't, and I don't think they want any part of Myles Garrett. I'd be shocked if they could pull this off. Myles Garrett's money is going to be super complicated. Like, we can fit it. Like, we keep saying Buffalo's a great fit. Yeah, but you know how this thing is. It's all about cap space. I don't think the Cowboys are going to do anything. They just spoiled me, or they ruined me this offseason. The all-in and then signing, who they sign? Eric Kendricks? All in, and they signed a 32-year-old middle linebacker. It's just, I'm never going back to this all-in thing. I will never believe the Dallas Cowboys are going to do something exciting.
So, again, this is at least one sports book saying that Myles Garrett is the odds-on favorite to go to the Dallas Cowboys. P. Maddie's in the chat, youtube.com/Infinity Sportsnet, twitch.tv/Infinity Sports Network. Says Myles Garrett said he wanted a contender. Are the Cowboys contenders? Great question.
No.
I would say absolutely not, but we still have a whole offseason to go. So
I think unless the Cowboys actually go out of character and do some big moves this offseason, I don't think anyone's picking them to do anything next year.
Well, just shut up and let me answer.
And how deflating is it that you had the the Eagles and the Commanders playing in the NFC Championship game? I mean, I think we still expect that the Giants are in a rebuild, but you got 2 teams that you're looking up at, and Commanders don't seem like they're going anywhere, and neither are the Eagles.
No. Let me put you on the spot. What would be the flashiest place for Myles Garrett to sign?
They have no quarterback, but
Raiders.
that might be the flashiest.
Flashiest is the least flashy.
Well, they're not a contender, so I don't think it would satisfy.
Well, the Cowboys would be flashy just by its nature.
Cowboy flashy, Raiders flashy.
But it'd be
Tom Brady, his big first move would be Myles Garrett.
I'd be the Lions by a mile.
The Lions would
won,
be awesome.
Bills too.
But they have to pay Aiden Hutchinson. So and there's a lot of people getting paid on the Lions. Yeah. That's not a cheap team.
Yeah, but
and they draft so well. Why would they want to give up all these draft picks?
I think, they would give up a lot for Myles Garrett. That's the one team, because they need to get over this hump somehow, and their defense came up really short, obviously.
So one thing I'll disagree with you, and we can talk about the Packers or the Bears. I mean, the Commanders, I don't know if we mentioned them. They're the second best odds according to DraftKings after Cleveland. Now, you and I really don't disagree. We do disagree, excuse me, and I don't want to do a show bet because we did the crawfish thing yesterday, and I got to, chill, and we'll explain a little more about what our afternoon was like yesterday in a moment. But I don't think there's any way he's going back to Cleveland.
Yeah,
and it's not because it's not even because the relationship is so sour. I think that Cleveland sees this as a huge opportunity. It might have been, a little bit unnerving at the time. Fan base gets ticked off. But if you are actually in a rebuild mode, what better thing to have and to load you up with draft picks or maybe another young player? I mean, Myles Garrett asking for a trade could be really good news for you. I just don't think this regime should be making that decision because I think they've made a lot of mistakes.
Well, I don't know, though, at his age and money, if they're going to get they're probably going to ask for 2 1s, right?
Well, Nate Tice joined us. He thought 2 1s, right?
But he didn't say, yeah, but he also thought, like, there's no guarantee. I'm just not sure that they get what they want. Remember, Brandon Ayuk asked for a trade. Like, asking for a trade could be part of a negotiation for more money, and Garrett needs more money. So maybe this is just leverage.
Well, Garrett's made a lot of money. I know it's far from me to count his wallet, what's in his wallet, but I think when he says he wants to win, he's being serious. You don't think so?
I think this is much more motivated by money.
Interesting.
Is there any doubt?
Well, he's got a lot of money. Number one, he's 8 years in, and he's breaking records with multiple seasons with at least 12 sacks. 14 sacks. He's tying Lawrence Taylor on all of these stats. Like, he's gonna walk into the Hall of Fame. The only thing that is left for him is winning something. Yeah. He's only won 1 playoff game, and I think maybe he looks at Joe Thomas, the left tackle who walked into the Hall of Fame but never sniffed the playoffs.
So wait.
A playoff win.
And you think it's just coincidence that all his guaranteed money is out? He's only making $23 million. It just happens that he's going to be drastically underpaid. When has it ever in the history of any pro sport not been all about money?
Interesting. EJ, can we put the poll question up? Myles Garrett wanting a trade, is it about winning or is it about money?
Oh, my God. I don't even think that's poll worthy. Of course it's about money.
Wait, hold on. Let me quickly, if I can.
Winning? What does he care about winning? He's been in Cleveland for 8 years.
Well, I mean, he couldn't help it. He got drafted number 1 overall, Like, was he going to not go there? All right, I'm trying to just get quickly Myles Garrett career earnings. Can my laptop go as fast
whatever
as
it is,
humanly possible?
It ain't enough.
Career earnings, $124 million.
You're crazy if you don't think that he is very hell-bent on a new contract.
Well, he might want both. He might want to go to a winner and also get paid.
He's a defensive end. He's not I don't know. I think that Cleveland could give him 150 million reasons to stay in Cleveland. I'll bet Cleveland, although the odds aren't great, but I'll still bet Cleveland.
Yeah, I'm going to bet the field. Anywhere but
yeah,
Cleveland.
But I don't think you can bet the field. You got to pick someone. Pick someone. Come on, go.
Commanders. Washington Commanders.
Yeah, that'll work.
That's what I think. Maggie and Perloff, 855-212-4227. Love hanging out with you on this Wednesday. Even though we're in New Orleans, doesn't mean the show changes. We still got the great debate for you today. We wouldn't let you down. It's Maggie and Perloff.
The Commanders.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining.
Daly's talking, running his mouth, saying I'm the reason that the streams go south. Job is crashing, Ryan's gone dark, shipping more stock like an old drunk car. I got my boots up, my hands on the board, pushing their buttons like a digital lord. Maggie and Perloff, they shine like gold, while the others freeze like a blizzard so cold. I got my boots up, my hands on the board, pushing them buttons like a digital lord. Maggie and Perloff, they shine like gold, while the others freeze like a blizzard so cold.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Chiefs on the doorstep of history. Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. We're live from New Orleans. Been here all week, and I can't believe it's Wednesday already. The week is flying by, and as we get closer and closer to the game, you have to imagine, maybe not the nerves for Patrick Mahomes, because he seems as calm and cool as ever, but the magnitude of what's at stake sports-wise in this Super Bowl, Perloff, with, being able to even be in the same conversation as Tom Brady by virtue of winning 3 in a row.
Oh, my God. I think even if he loses this game, he's in the conversation with Tom Brady. Here's one thing. He's not getting to 7. So let's just start. I really believe that. Even if they three-peat and set history, you can have the GOAT debate all you want. 7 is crazy because Andy Reid said yesterday in his press conference, I am coming back next year, but implied it is now a year-to-year project. They are not going to be able to keep this core together. Travis Kelce has to age. Chris Jones is going to turn 30. At some point, the fact that the Patriots were able to reinvent a champion, I don't think there's any guarantee that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do that. So Brady is always going to have this ring advantage, and that will always be one of two things. That will always be his advantage in the GOAT debate, and the fact that he beat Mahomes twice.
Right. Okay, once in the AFC Championship game, once in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think that 7 rings, it is going to be hard for Mahomes to match that achievement.
Okay, so here's maybe an overarching question. If you're just looking at these two quarterbacks and you're looking at their resumes, what do you think is harder to do? Is it harder to three-peat, like what Mahomes is attempting right now, or is it harder to win 7 Super Bowls over a 23-year career, which is what Brady had the whole total? He won 7 Super Bowls in basically 19 years, right? Because he didn't play the first year of his career, and then the last 2 seasons they didn't win. So basically, 7 and 19 or a three-peat. What's the harder thing to do?
I think 7 and 19 because everybody has a peak. Like, who's got 3 peaks in their career? Nobody except Brady. That's not even. No one's even close.
Right. Okay. I'm going to disagree. I actually think the three-peat is harder because even Brady couldn't do it. And there's so many different reasons why these dynasties could never actually pull off what the Chiefs may pull off on Sunday. And it's all the things that get in the way, which is, you slip a little bit and now all of a sudden you have to go on the road. Like that's what happened with Tom Brady, right? They had won 2 in a row early in his career. And then all of a sudden they had to go on the road in Denver, of all places. Brady had a pretty bad game, threw 2 picks, and they get beat by Jake Plummer and the Denver Broncos, who end up going on to lose to the Steelers. It's like you have what happened with the Cowboys in the 90s, which is coach and owner can't get on the same page, fighting for credit, egos. You have like what happened with the Steelers. Guys retired going back now in the 70s. Guys got older. Guys retired. Even going back to the Packers with Vince Lombardi, he retired. The coach retires. You have
they won a ton in a row though.
No, but in the Super Bowl era, 2 in a row. It's like the thing is that it could never three-peat.
They three-peated twice, though.
But not in the Super Bowl era.
Right. But anyway, like the Packers are an exception. So in the day, you used to be able to do that, and that's actually a factor. It's not the first three-peat. The Packers are three-peat as champions.
We're talking about Super Bowl era.
So
I
you're
think we
saying
all
like the
agree it's Super Bowl era.
Well, I'm just trying to
throw a little cold water on my argument.
No, I'm just trying to win my argument here. I'm mentioning the Packers three-peated twice. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I understand what you're saying.
Well, but here it's like there's always something that gets in the way.
Yes.
And if the Chiefs are the first team that allow none of that to get in the way in the salary cap era, in an era of free agency, all of that, I think that it is the harder thing to do. Now, Brady's longevity is unreal. I disagree by saying staunchly that Mahomes will never win 7. I don't think we can say that definitively yet. If he wins this one and he's got 4 before the age of 30, I mean, you can't count him out. But the thing to me is the Chiefs have already kind of reinvented themselves even a little bit along the way, getting rid of Tyreek Hill, letting go of, guys who were mainstays earlier in the dynasty. And it doesn't seem to affect them. They lose offensive court. I know Andy Reid calls the plays. They lose coaches on the offensive side.
But they might lose Andy Reid.
But when? Like he says that that he's coming back for next year. You think that means we're now on a year-to-year? We've been on a year-to-year with Andy Reid.
I had no idea. That this was a topic until he talked about it yesterday.
Maybe I think he was probably asked about it. I don't think he brought it up.
Right. I didn't even know people were asking him about that. So I saw the headline, Andy Reid said he's going to coach for at least next year. I'm like, what? I actually thought because Belichick is way older than Andy Reid, and he's already and he's starting over as a college coach. So I just think
Carroll.
I mean, first of all those reasons you said, I was just like, wow, that's even if they three-peat, all that's going to happen to them, like age, coaching changes, losing Spagnuolo at some point. They're lucky that he sticks around. Like, there are so many impediments. So even if they three-peat, my point is, wow, it's going to be hard to get to 7.
But they would have gotten the three-peat, right? And they would have stamped their, made their stamp on the NFL. Right. So we're asking you, what's harder to do? What Tom Brady did, which is winning 7 Super Bowls in 19 years, or is it Patrick Mahomes with a three-peat?
Well, I think the other real important part is who are the foils? Tom Brady was in an NFL with Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, a lot of all-timers. Now, Mahomes has faced Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, which are great.
Yeah.
But he's also his Super Bowl wins are 2, 1 over Jimmy G, 1 over Brock Purdy, and 2 over Jalen Hurts. That's not exactly Terry Bradshaw out-dueling Roger Staubach.
Well, I mean, you play who you play.
You
what
play
is he gonna do? You can't help it.
I'm just saying, Brady could make an argument that he. And I'm not sure this is true. He whooped on Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning for a long time. Mahomes will have the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson thing, but I'm not sure that that's quite the same. That is TBD.
Well, I mean, it depends on what we're going to look back on, which quarterback era. Don't forget about Joe Burrow. You're forgetting about Burrow. Burrow beat him, and Burrow is also a top quarterback.
Yeah, didn't make the playoffs this year. That's why I forgot about him.
Yeah, because of his defense. But, then you look at who Brady beat in Super Bowls, though. I mean, again, you beat who you beat. I can't get...
He beat Jake Delhomme, baby.
Well, that's... Yeah.
He beat
Jake
Kurt
Delhomme
Warner.
and Donovan McNabb.
Yeah,
He beat Kurt Warner. That was a big one.
Right, he beat the greatest show on turf. Then he beat a guy named
Jared
Patrick
Goff.
Mahomes.
Okay, but Jared Goff.
Yeah, well, that one wasn't great. Russell Wilson, a Hall of Famer. Yeah, no, you're right. You play who's in front of you, but Mahomes' Super Bowl opponents certainly are a lot to work on legacy-wise.
855-212-4227. EJ,
By the way, they have
that poll up too.
They're also one thing about this topic that bothers me. They have not three-peated. There's a guy named Jalen Carter who could stand in the way.
We'll see.
Yeah,
couple Jalen's could stand in the way.
When you were saying that, it was interesting to me. I was thinking like, oh man, all those reasons you just said give me hope that the Eagles are going to win this game. It's so darn hard to three-peat.
Okay, but I'm sorry, I got more cold water to pour on you. None of those teams that were in the past that were even going for a three-peat even made the Super Bowl again. So the fact that the Chiefs are here means they've already defied the odds and put themselves in a place that the Patriots have never been. The Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers, Pittsburgh Steelers, go down the list.
Yeah, what happened to everybody, eventually what happens to all these great teams is salary cap problems. So the Patriots had to get rid of Richard Seymour. They had to get rid of Asante Samuel, Ty Law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The Chiefs are having the same problem. Now, they did obviously cobble together a championship team, but they're getting hurt. I don't think this Chiefs team is as good as even the 2019 team. I think their defense is great, but again, they're going to have the same problem. You don't think their personnel, they struggle. They have to let a lot of good guys out of that building. And I know that
they went 15-2 this year.
Yeah.
And they basically went 15-1 because they just, mailed in the last game.
Yeah, but are they, but they're not beating teams like they used to whoop on teams. They used to run up and down the field on them. There were a lot of close games in there. And yeah, I do not think this Chiefs team is impressive. Their point differential is way, way down to where it used to be, which is awesome. I give them all the credit in the world.
They win close games.
Yeah,
17 in a row, one-score games.
Are they going to do that? Are they going to be able to do all that without Steve Spagnuolo down the road? Are they going to be able to do that without Andy? And
here's the thing. Steve Spagnuolo was in this hiring cycle. Didn't get hired.
Because he's still coaching. I think he's got to lose earlier and get more interviews. If he wins this Super Bowl, there is no way a team is not going to hire him. If he puts some blitz on Jalen Hurts, he's got to get a job.
I don't think so. 855-212-4227. I don't think so.
Oh,
he would have been hired already. How many Super Bowls do you have to win? This is crazy.
Well, I think he's I think it's not ideal to be. Look how annoying it is for Kellen Moore. The Saints have had to wait a month. So I just think that he's got to lose earlier.
Let's go to the phones, shall we? We're here on Radio Row in New Orleans at the convention center, but we can still talk. Let's chat. Brad's in Alabama. Hey, Brad, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, somebody in the crew needs to go down to Royal Street to Cafe Beignet and pick Miss Maggie up some beignets this morning, guys.
I know. You know what so we're lucky. We're staying at our hotel has a nice breakfast buffet that we've only been able to eat at once because of the time of the show. But
I've eaten there twice.
Perloff's been there every day.
Yeah. I'm about to go.
He's actually back there making omelets for people. They have beignets on the breakfast bar, and I haven't done it yet. I know.
Nice. So you're 75 miles from Amite City. You're 120 miles from Petal, Mississippi. You're less than 200 miles in Houston. All these Eagles players are coming home to win a championship, Maggie. Because it is harder to three-peat than win 7 in 19 years. There's 22 people on the field, and Jalen Carter out of Georgia, they all know how to eat crawfish, Maggie. Spicy.
Brad, I'm so glad you brought this up. So my first time eating crawfish yesterday, never got the hang of it. I'm struggling. Brad, do you understand how much shell I consumed yesterday? I kept eating the shells because I couldn't get the crawfish out. I look like a
push the bottom of the tail up. You got to push the bottom of the tail. That's where you pinch and push it out. You got to push it out, Maggie. Go ahead.
I figured it out, and Maggie could not. And I couldn't. She asked me what my technique was. You're exactly right. You push the bottom of the tail.
But I was peeling it like a shrimp, and that I think was a major, major obstacle.
Error.
Then you got in your own head. Yeah,
and
basically,
push them, stuck them.
Yeah.
Split them, push them, stuck them. That's it.
Yeah.
Boom.
The pressure got to Maggie after the fifth one that wasn't breaking properly. You were pressing.
I was
way
thinking
too
about
hard.
just push them in my mouth and then just eating the
Chewing
entire shell
and
with the
spitting it
tail. I don't know. The other part too is Brad. They gave us some gloves to start out. That was a mistake. You can't do anything with those gloves.
I was gonna keep my glove on, but then when you took the gloves off,
I dropped the gloves.
Not just metaphorically, but literally took them off. Then I had to. Except you had an injury situation.
I did. So Perloff went for mild spice, and I went with the waitress's recommendation to go Cajun medium. You went Cajun mild. I went with the recommendation. I've never done it before. I didn't realize I had a paper cut, and all the seasoning was just getting right in the cut. I mean, I'll take your thoughts and prayers.
What's it's the number one issue for crawfish challenges.
Paper cuts?
Yeah.
I mean, and getting the shell off. I just couldn't, squeeze. Anything I say is going to sound really weird. Your technique, when you ripped off the head, you were really going after that part, too.
Yeah, I heard the locals suck the juice out of the head, so I had to do that.
Yeah, I did a couple times, but
I ate a few eyeballs by accident.
Yeah, you ate a couple.
No
of
problem
eyeballs.
with that. No problem.
Were they
with that.
squishy?
No, they were more like capers. They were.
You squeeze down and they burst.
Yeah.
like a Roma tomato, a cherry tomato.
No, I don't know if I ate an eyeball. I just felt like I first of all, I regret I was so far ahead, but I was still flying, and there's going to be pictures of me with sauce all over my face, which were totally disgusting. But you know what else? The antennas.
Yeah.
The antennas were a bit of a problem.
And those little legs that are on the bottom, I was eating those too.
Oh, I
by
missed
accident.
the legs. Well, also, you would stop if there was a crawfish that was abnormally sized.
Yeah.
You would stop and talk about it for 5 minutes. You're like, do you see how big this crawfish is?
Well, I didn't realize. Every once in a while, I'd get it looked like a lobster.
And you name them and talk about them.
I felt we were back at the alligator farm.
Yeah.
It's Richard.
You were overly excited about the larger crawfish.
Yeah, I'm like, let's name this one Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
No one wanted to do that. Again. 855-212-4227. Yeah, I guess eating crawfish the first time, not easy. And then we're asking you the question, what is harder to do? What Tom Brady did in his career, which was 7 Super Bowls in 19 seasons, or is what Patrick Mahomes is attempting to do? And if he does it, would this be the hardest thing, a three-peat, something no one has been able to do? Give us a call, 855-212-4227. Coming up next, the vibes in one locker room. We go straight to the source. We're going to do that next. M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Saying I'm the reason that the streams go south. Job is crashing, riots gone dark. Stepping more stuck like an old junk car. I got my boots up, my hands on the board, pushing them buttons like a digital lord. Maggie and Perloff, they shine like gold, while the others freeze like a blizzard so cold. I got my boots up, my hands on the board, pushing them buttons like a digital lord. Maggie and Perloff, they shine like gold, while the others freeze like a blizzard so cold. Daily don't trust me, thinks I'm a snake, thinks I pull plugs while sipping my shake. Let me tell ya, there's one true crime, Bilatti's still out, and he owes us a prize. Sabotage or gain us, I just make it work while the rest be clueless. Bilatti, where are you? You're dodging your job and you stay dead too. Is it magic? Is it fate? Or just the Wi-Fi can't handle the weight? They blame me, but here's the clue. I show up for work, what about you? Is it magic? Is it fate? Or just the Wi-Fi can't handle the weight? They blame me, but here's the clue. I show up for work, what about you? Is it magic? Is it fate? Or just the Wi-Fi can't handle the weight? They blame me, but here's the clue. I show up for work, what about you? Daily, stop your lies. Bilatti's gone, that ain't no surprise. Dreams don't break if you show up to play, so stop the doubt and get out of my way. Sabotage your genius. I just make it work while the rest be clueless. Melody, where are you? Dodging your job and you stay dead too. I'm just a dang good. Maggie and Perloff looking real fine. Crystal clear every dang time. Maybe I'm gifted, maybe it's fate. Or maybe Bilotti should finally show up late. Yeah! What is a dang good?
1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. Well, this one actually, our YouTube chat was begging for the return of Spike Eskin, who has now graced the set, our former boss, and now the afternoon host on WIP. I would say you go back to Philly and good things happen, but the Eagles were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, so I can't really give you full credit.
And the Phillies were in the World Series the year after I left, so
mixed bag.
Yeah.
But how are the vibes in Philly right now? How's the confidence level?
Confidence level is high. You know, there are two confidence levels in Philadelphia. Everything is going to go wrong, and there's like chesty, no one is ever going to beat us, you know?
Yeah, that sounds like Philly.
It's sort of like, I guess going from like, woe is me, Bills fan, to what's going to go wrong next, to like Red Sox fan is like, we're just like, or Patriots fan, you know, those are the two vibes, and they are, everybody in Philly is the chesty vibe right now.
Oh, I love it.
Are you with them?
No, I mean I think the team's great, and I think they had an amazing year. But I do not look at this game and say, well, of course we're the better team. You know, the Chiefs lost one game essentially this year. You know, so they're going for the third straight title. They might have the best quarterback and best coach of all time. So, you know, I'm glad we were good this year, but there is a real challenge ahead of us.
So Maggie and I had a disagreement. She said basically, if the Eagles win this game, they're going to say it was very special to us to end the three-peat, to stop the Chiefs from getting history. I get this weird vibe, but you know much better, that the Eagles and their fans are oblivious to the Chiefs. It feels like, I feel like they're not obsessed with the rivalry with the Chiefs, because a lot of people still like Andy Reid. They're not the Cowboys. I don't feel like they're defining themselves as a foil to the Chiefs so far. At least I haven't heard that.
I think that is a fair assessment, actually. I tried to say for me, the thing that is meaningful about it is, and I like Andy Reid. I think he's a great coach, and I like what he did in Philadelphia. But it's sort of pathetic when the best coach in your team's franchise history didn't win a Super Bowl with you. And you've won a Super Bowl, and it's just like kind of weird. So I don't want Andy Reid to make history at the expense of the Philadelphia Eagles. The three-peat, 2 of them are against the Eagles. So for that reason, I see it as, preventing history. But I don't feel this rivalry with the Chiefs. Like I actually don't feel personally the Chiefs, the tediousness that everybody else feels, like sick of it, blah, blah. Doesn't bother me. They don't bother me in the way that other dynasties have. So I would lean toward you being right. I think it's more about the Eagles to people in Philadelphia and less about the Eagles and the Chiefs.
I was saying, wait until the post-game interviews. If they're popping champagne in the locker room, I think you're going to get and everyone thought they were going to get the three-peat on us. I think you'll get it after the fact, not before. Spike Eskin is joining us. He's the host of Afternoons on WIP, Ike, Spike, and Fritz. Also writes to Ricky Sanchez podcast. Got to say the name. We're talking about the Eagles. We're also having a bit of a, I would say, disagreement about this, about the credit that Nick Sirianni would get if the Eagles win. Because I think there's a laundry list of people who will get the credit first. Howie Roseman, number 1, your general manager. I think you'll go deep down the depth chart before we get to Sirianni. Now, full disclosure, I thought Sirianni was the first coach fired. He clearly is not that. You'll know more. Have people come around on Sirianni, or is he still someone who could be a space holder?
I think people have come around in Philadelphia, but I also think there is a part of them that is just waiting for him to screw something up and blame him for something. I personally have come around on him in a big way. I thought they should have fired him. I thought they put him in an unwinnable situation at the beginning of this year, like what he had to navigate. But the fact that he did navigate that, and the fact that there were 3 real opportunities for the Eagles to unravel this year, and every time the week of that game, they came together and an impressive win. And I think when you talk to players and when you listen to what they actually say, it's not just that they like him, right? They say things like, he holds us accountable, he makes sure of this, he makes sure of that. And everybody talks about their talent, which is great, but having too much talent can be difficult from the person in charge of managing those egos. And I also think he is self-aware enough to know what he wasn't good at and what he needed to fix, at least from listening to him speak and a couple of interviews we did with him. So I've been very impressed by him. Now, I don't think people want to give him credit nationally or locally, right? You'll hear Vic Fangio, you'll hear Saquon, you'll hear Howie, you'll hear, look what Zach Bond did, Jalen Carter. There's a big list.
The rookies.
Yeah, and even when you looked at Coach of the Year stuff, they collapsed last year, and they were one game from the best record in the NFC, and he was 11th in Coach of the Year odds. It just says what people think of him.
What about Vic Fangio's terrible record against Patrick Mahomes?
Well, that terrible record came with the Broncos, who weren't very good, and the Dolphins, who weren't very good. I think when you look at the ranks of his defenses in Chicago were the most talented and were also always top 5 defenses, and his Denver and Miami defenses were mid-teens. I think this is probably the most talented defense he's ever coached at this point, so I'm not too worried. And I would also guess Patrick Mahomes' record against every defensive coordinator is probably good. He wins almost all of his games, so I'm not too worried about that.
Spike Eskin joining us for a few more minutes. He's the host on WIP, the afternoon show, Ike, Spike, and Fritz with Ike Reese, and was our former boss, and we're glad to have him.
The good old days.
Okay, so this is maybe a little more summer content for you guys, but let's just play this out that you win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley and Philadelphia Mount Rushmore of greatest athletes, or climbing up the ladder towards that. Obviously, there's people who played there much longer and won championships. I get it. He's not going to be Mike Schmidt, but still, where's Saquon right now?
Well, it's already the greatest single-season offensive performance in Eagles history. T.O.'s is up there, Wilbur Montgomery, they all had great, Mike Quick, they all had great years. Shady had a great year. Never this year. He wins the Super Bowl, and he's like Super Bowl MVP or something. You might not be able to do the Mount Rushmore thing when that happens, because
he'll take all 4 spots.
Well, yeah, because I don't think people will be able to comprehend. If people were telling me we love Mount Rushmores, we did it last summer, and people were telling me like had Bryce Harper on it over Mike Schmidt, and I'm like, all right, guys, he's the greatest third baseman of all time.
Did you have to tell people who Mike?
But I think Saquon's season will go down in history as this season and this player as maybe the greatest in Philly sports history.
Better than Allen Iverson.
Well, I would
go into the.
I think so. I mean, he essentially would be the MVP. For all, it's very hard for him to win the MVP.
Yeah, right.
But also would have won
the title,
the big one.
Right.
Also, I think he was a big part of changing the culture with the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't think Allen was that. I think there is, Moses in '83 was a big.
Moses Malone, yeah.
Pete Rose in '80. These new guys that came and changed everything. It's way up there. It's way up there.
What do you expect if the Eagles did win? It was crazy how crowded the center part of the city was. Will it be almost dangerously the reaction?
I hope not. I mean, every time there's crowds like that in any city, something happens. It was horrible. A Temple student died who was climbing one of those poles. And my hope is just that everybody is drunk and unruly, but not stupid.
In a ruly way.
Yeah. There was one video of a guy just shooting a gun in the air, and nobody around him cared. Yeah. Let me tell you, somebody shoots a gun in the air where I am at, you're going to see a Spike-sized hole in whatever wall.
I didn't know Spike ran a 4.54.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like to hope that goodwill and morals prevail, but who knows?
Well, it's a long way to actually get to that point.
Yeah,
anyway.
let's win first.
Yeah, first win the game. Spike Eskin hosts Afternoons, WIP, Ike, Spike, and Fritz, and the Rights to Ricky Sanchez pod. Say hi to everyone for us, okay?
Will do.
Let's get to Andrew Bogusch, who's got headlines on this Wednesday. Hey, Bogusch.
Maggie, Perloff, their greatness apparently knows no borders.
Here's Brunson from three, knocks it down. Jalen Brunson from downtown extends the Knicks lead to 6 when the Raptors call timeout.
Kenny Albert on MSG TV. Jalen Brunson, 28 more points. Karl Anthony Towns with 27 plus 20 rebounds as the Knicks tariffed the Raptors in Toronto, 121-115. New York has won 8 of 10 overall and 8 straight against the Raptors. The Knicks, though, almost as hot as the Blazers, who hammered the Pacers last night, 112-89. That's 5 in a row. 9 out of 10 for Portland.
Did you say tariffed?
I did.
Okay, cool.
With Luka Dončić watching from the bench, the Lakers thumped the Clippers in their new building, 122-97. LeBron, 26 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. The Celtics got a 112-105 win in Cleveland. And Joel Embiid back for now, 28 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists in his first game in a month, a 118-116 Sixer win over the Mavs. Dallas making another far less mega trade yesterday, sending Quentin Grimes to Philly for Caleb Martin. Grimes, the Mavs could not agree on an extension. Martin just began a 4-year deal worth $35 million.
Bogusch, you realize you're kind of ruining the Super Bowl buzz, because I had to listen on the back channels. Manny and EJ were just like, yeah, he's going to do it. He's going to do the Knicks highlight. Yes. they were so excited. It makes me hate the Knicks just because they were so happy about it. I mean, come on, Bogusch. Now you have to keep the Knicks out of there. Even if they win the title, we can't talk about it because they want it too bad.
Yeah, the problem is, I forgot about this, Manny can see my script. And like a good board op, he scans it every hour to see if there's anything he can add to the fun and frivolity. But then he sees the Knicks stories, and they're prepared for them. It's not good.
Yeah, I'm good at my job.
Except for this one particular thing.
Why does my joy affect you, Perloff?
That's classic Philly.
Yeah.
No.
That's so Philly. And I keep saying with regards to the Super Bowl, I'm like, man, the Eagles stopping the Chiefs is such a big thing. You're like, no, I don't think so. Yet you don't want the Knicks fans to feel anything.
I don't care if
the New York Knicks.
Because I like the Chiefs. I don't care if they win. I don't want the Knicks to win. And honestly, I don't want any of my coworkers to thrive. I don't want your Bills to win. That'd be annoying.
I can tell
because
you
I'd be
keep
jealous.
picking them and you're a mush.
Yeah, off the air, you were like, hey, you guys should have had Xavier Worthy. That would have been good. I'm like, wow. I went to the heart.
No, I actually won a lot.
No, meanwhile, I said that on draft night and after the first game that the Chiefs played. And you're like, Xavier Worthy wasn't even that good. I'm like, what?
He's not that fast.
It's like
Xavier
I feel like
Worthy,
I'm being gaslit by my own
anyone can score that touchdown.
David Worthy wouldn't even be on the field if Rashee Rice was healthy, by the way. He's okay.
Again.
Still doing it.
Yeah, still doing it.
I mean, he literally just said, I don't want any of my coworkers to thrive. Not like I hope the Mets
sports.
lose.
If my team wins, then fine, you can have some success. But I don't want my team to stink. And you guys, first of all, and the Mets are the worst.
Well, we have a while to get to that. I mean,
no. Not moving on.
We got to wait till
Not
pitchers
moving on.
and catchers even get there.
I
Can
agree
we
with
just
Perloff.
No.
do this as like a poll question or something like that? Like, would you rather have your team win or your friends and coworkers' teams lose?
Do you know how annoying it is? Everyone's talking football. And it's football all the time. Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. Ian Rappaport, Rap Sheet from NFL Network, walks by, and I had to listen to a 5-minute Mets conversation with Maggie and Ian.
Listen,
I mean, this
we're
is not
friends,
fair.
We're
This
both
is
Mets fans.
Yeah.
What am I going to talk to him about football? He talks about that all day.
I'm just saying it's hard to stomach.
Also,
and you know
Ian,
what I mean.
Ian Rappaport, well, I was literally in the middle of an interview with him on radio when Francisco Lindor got traded to the Mets.
Ooh.
It happened while we were talking about football.
Did you just get up and leave and go through a cartwheel or something?
Yeah, I basically did. Well, let's not talk about baseball right now. The bigger issue is you would rather have our teams lose than your team win.
Honestly,
that's a you problem.
No. But it's more consistent. It's more reliable that I'm going to get a Mets loss than a Phillies win. So Go New York,
go New York, go.
It's one way for me to get joy out of baseball is to watch the Mets spend all this money and implode.
Are there any gators around?
Take them back to the bayou.
And by the way,
Seriously.
if you guys think
swamp somewhere that we can dump the body.
I know it's 4-1 right now, but trust me, America's with me. They do not want the Mets to win either.
No, take that out of it.
3-2.
We're going global here.
Yeah.
It's just would you rather your team win or your friends and coworkers' teams lose? That's it.
I think it does depend on the team too. Like I don't think it's funny. People are rooting so hard against the Chiefs. I think America roots against teams just like they root for. I think it's a big deal.
Yeah, one's personal. Like you work with these people, you live with these people, friends, family members, coworkers.
Some of these teams aren't rivals. Like Maggie's a Bills fan. That's nothing to do with the Eagles.
But why would you want my team to win?
Why would you want your team to not get to the Super Bowl and have your coworker walk in, chest out, super excited? Like, why would anybody want that experience? It just reminds you of your futility.
Well, that's a you thing. We're getting a view into you're acting like everyone thinks that.
Yes,
we can also be happy for the person that they get to watch their team.
What kind of sports fan would be? That is not how sports fans think. I don't think. I mean, if they're being honest.
Yeah.
This is the most Philadelphia thing Perloff's ever said. Which I appreciate, but it's very Philadelphia.
I don't know. I think I think I'm just the only honest one here. Like if the Phillies won, my team won, nobody would be happy about it.
That's a rivalry, though. That's different.
But no, okay, let's say, what's the team?
We were saying the Eagles and the Bills have no rivalry, and you wanted my team to lose because you didn't want me to have joy.
No, I wanted the Bills to go to the Super Bowl.
And lose.
Maximum
depression.
Okay, let's put it this way. If the Eagles had lost to the Commanders in the early game, in the NFC title game, I couldn't have handled the Bills winning. Like, to see your joy after
you realize
losing
what you're
underdog.
disclosing here. Like, you're a psycho.
No, I'm not. I'm this. Like, I think most sports fans are like me. I'm just the only honest person on this show.
EJ poll: Are most sports fans like Perloff? And then
that's
terrible.
Yes, most sports fans I know are like me.
I'm rooting for the Eagles.
Why do you think everyone on earth is rooting against the Chiefs?
Because they're sick of them.
Right.
Not because that's it. And
nobody
honestly,
wants to see other people's joy. That is like, nobody's like, I'm happy for
just
Kansas
clip
City.
that.
Yeah. No, nobody wants to see other people's sports joy.
Who did this to you, Von Hayes? What's going on?
Oh my God. You guys, you really?
I blame
Do you know how obnoxious I would be if
like
the
Donovan McNabb.
Do you realize, or you say this, and it's not even, do you realize how difficult your lives will be, all of you, if the Eagles win on Sunday? I'm going to be
I want the Eagles to win.
I'm going to be so obnoxious you won't even believe it.
You're already obnoxious.
No, I know. That's my point, Maggie. If we beat the Chiefs, oh my God, you're going to want to call in sick on Monday. I'm telling you.
Okay, let's just everybody understand this conversation, because when I said, do you think that the Eagles want to stop the three-peat, Prof's like, no, I think this is really just more about the Eagles.
The Eagles don't care about the Chiefs. The Eagles,
you just said I'm going to be insufferable because...
No, because the Eagles won, not because they beat the Chiefs.
You just said because they beat the Chiefs.
No, because they won the Super Bowl. I'm saying because that's who they play on Sunday. If they had beaten the Bills, I'd be just as insufferable. No, I'm telling you, the Eagles are their own thing. I mean, Trust me, you have to grease up the poles no matter who they're playing.
Well, that's for sure.
That sounded gross. But anyway, you know what I'm saying.
This happened.
Imagine someone just tuned in and found this radio station. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And all of that because of a Knicks highlight.
Yeah.
Trigger.
No, it wasn't the Knicks highlight.
Trigger.
It was the background talk.
Jalen
And
Brunson.
I am telling you right now, I am not in a minority of this. You're like, yeah, he's going to do the Knicks highlight. He's going to do the Knicks highlight. Come on, who is rooting for that? Nobody.
Thus concludes Perloff's therapy session that he just had on the air. We just learned a lot about you. I don't think you realize how much you revealed.
What?
No, you always deny.
EJ knew this.
I'm not that surprised. I'll be honest.
What?
It's astonishing, but it's not surprising.
I've talked about this many times. Rooting against your coworkers is like one thing I've talked about for years. It's very natural.
I don't think so. I really don't. And it's one thing if it is a rivalry. It's a Cowboys, Washington, or like Cubs, White Sox, whatever your rivalry is. But this, we've got nothing at stake here.
Like I'm thinking about
it's not the Mets Phillies. This is Eagles Chiefs.
And we have like a lot of different coworkers. I'm thinking of every coworker we have, like Stu, who's you guys brought up for a long time. Like
he likes everybody, so
I know.
hard to.
Yeah, that's a little weird. But still, though, like I say, Raiders got Pete Carroll. Like I'm happy for him.
Or how about this? How about Notre Dame? If they had won the national title, I think we all would have been happy.
And
for
Stu. And I'm a Miami fan.
And we don't even like Notre Dame.
I can't stand Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But for Stu, I said, Notre Dame, like they look good. Like I hope they win. Like
Let me just say one thing, sir. I would heartily root for Stu Kovacs' team because he's such a nice guy.
No, you can't say
Oh,
that.
no,
Save it now.
You just said that Maggie's not nice because you would never root for the Bills.
Listen,
Stu's a
I
bad
mean,
guy.
as therapy says, I was like, Stu's way nicer than all five of us right here. Like we all root for Stu. We all we're not in Stu's category.
Stu has less conviction than you. He changes teams faster than you do.
No, but I mean,
he
also
makes you look like you're the committed one.
Stu likes the Raiders. Like, how can you not root for that? I mean,
Today he likes the Raiders.
But usually people do not root for Notre Dame. Like
He
that
also
is
likes
a
the
famous
Lakers.
thing. Like,
Yeah, I think that we found out a lot here. Perloff not secretly sending bad vibes towards everyone else's team.
No, I don't care. My team's still in it, but once we lose, I mean, come on, forget. And the Knicks, I can't stand. I kind of root for them.
Okay, but here's the thing. Yes, there it is. I can't stand the Knicks until I get the courtside
But I
seat.
mean, by the way, and
or
I got to tell you.
Brunson, Philadelphia, something.
Yeah, Mikal Bridges
Villanova,
somehow.
Philly.
Yeah. Anyway, enough Knicks talk. But this bigger question here is, sorry, Manny. Bigger question here is, are you actively rooting for your friends, family, and coworkers' favorite teams to fail?
If they're not the same team as yours.
I think that's implied, right?
Yeah, I know, but it's not a totally common situation. Like if you're in Philadelphia, this is not a scenario you run into.
Right. Well, there's always that one Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah, and of course you root against him.
855-212-4227. I'm sorry, Bogusch, anything else there?
It doesn't matter.
I mean, that teaches you to put a Knicks highlight in the show.
Yeah, please.
Perloff can't handle it.
If I
Please
leave him
do
out, my friends EJ and Manny death stare me. If I put it in, then I get yelled at by Perloff. There's no safe space here.
Did the national anthem get booed again last night in Canada? I think it did.
think so.
Oh boy. All right, we're gonna take a quick timeout.
Why?
Lots more to do. Pick up a newspaper, Manny. Lots more to do, including a newspaper is this paper thing that has words printed on it. Manny is not
print journalism.
He's too young. You
Those
didn't
are
grow up
lies, Maggie, not words. Those are lies.
in the era of the newspaper.
Printing machine?
Okay. We have lots more to do, including the coaching matchup in this Super Bowl, and one of our absolute favorites is going to join us at the top of the hour, the legendary Peter King. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret, and he's hiding it inside. Zach Jobs lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chavez Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee tea. So, Debbie, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright, like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shady, but I swear on my name, I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Oh, don't play no games. Oh, babe, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make streams fly. Now Bailey rode into town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret, and he's hiding it inside.
1 minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, live in New Orleans. It's Wednesday, which means excitement is definitely starting to ratchet up here. Not just on this radio row, but throughout the city. Yesterday, I tried crawfish for the first time, and as we always do here on the Maggie and Perloff show, took it a little over the top. We never just do something like mid-level. It's always on a 10.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to food.
So we ate 100 crawfish.
Yep.
Did you have dinner afterwards? Because, by the way, it's hard to avoid crawfish for dinner. I opened a menu. I'm like, crawfish was all over it.
Yeah, so we have the video coming out maybe a little bit later today, but Perloff and I did a challenge of who could eat 100 crawfish faster. We'll save the results.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of crawfish. And even though there's not a lot of meat in every individual tail, they add up when you're really housing them. So I ended up having dinner, but a salad with no dressing.
Like a chicken salad?
I had a grilled chicken Caesar salad to hold the dressing.
So
like the plainest thing possible.
Yeah, I was going to take it easy. I had tacos, which had nothing to do with crawfish, but then I met some friends at a restaurant, and they had all these fried oysters and fried calamari, and they had crawfish etouffee and gumbo.
Did you go to town?
I ate all of it. You can.
No,
and
you
the thing
avoid
is, the sauces here in New Orleans kind of wear you down. They're so amazing, though. How can you possibly say no to those sauces?
I know, it's too good. Okay, so we know Andy Reid, probably eating well here. Sorry, just pointing out the obvious. I was just trying to transition here to a coaching conversation.
Healthy Andy Reid now. He doesn't eat that stuff.
Sure. Okay, so Andy Reid probably having a good time in the city. But you were surprised that he had to answer a question yesterday that he was indeed coming back for another season. Now, I wasn't that surprised because he's a guy who's in his 60s, heavier guy. I don't know if that plays into it, any health stuff. But I think, of course, he's year to year. Because if he wins this Super Bowl, and even without it, shoe-in Hall of Fame, walk-in Hall of Fame, and you got to have some kind of succession plan, do you not?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, it just doesn't feel like he's anywhere. I was surprised because he's 66. He doesn't feel anywhere close to losing his fastball. That's why, there's no decline. Why on earth? I feel like he'd do it at least 8 more years.
I mean, I think he probably will too. I just think this is probably something he's getting asked, but I think he's gonna hang on. And maybe Steve Spagnuolo leaves, and maybe Matt Nagy leaves, and maybe these guys leave, but who cares? As long as Brett Veach is there, the GM, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes, I think even when Kelsey retires, I think they're going to be able to not replace him in terms of how high his ceiling was, but they'll figure it out. They've done it every time to this point.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like, Reid is probably the key part of all this, more than Veach. Maybe
Mahomes? No.
Mahomes probably won, but Reid is close.
Mahomes definitely won.
Well, it's just kind of like you're getting the Brady Belichick territory. Like, would Mahomes be Patrick Mahomes without Andy Reid?
I think so.
You think he could have?
I think if he was in Buffalo, the Bills would have won a Super Bowl already. I think if he was in Baltimore, they would have a Super Bowl. Okay, but I mean, maybe a dynasty. Yeah, I think if he was in Baltimore, I think they would have won. I think if he was in Cincinnati, they would have won.
I mean, he
capitalizes on these opportunities. He always comes up big in the big moment. Yeah. Is that Andy Reid or is that Patrick Mahomes?
I see. That's funny. I think it's an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes marriage because obviously Andy Reid has had so much success with so many different quarterbacks. Like, he turns every quarterback into something great. If Mahomes had gotten drafted by the wrong team, you have no idea.
Yeah, but he couldn't win with McNabb. And
yeah, but
if you could win with anybody, then you would have won with him.
You got to 4 NFC title games with McNabb.
I know, but couldn't break through, right?
Right, but I mean,
what's the difference? Is it actually his better play calling? He was criticized for actually not, being the smarter, more on top of it coach for those. Like, what changed?
Well, I think he's
the ice in his veins quarterback.
Isn't he considered the best coach quarterback guy? I mean, he turned everybody into something. I mean, I'm not sure there's any who is even like that. McVay, I don't know, Shanahan, like Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan. But Andy Reid touches a quarterback and he's awesome automatically.
That's fantastic, and I understand what you're talking about. But I think coaches a lot of times are judged by Super Bowls. You can just see how the Hall of Fame sees guys who go to multiple Super Bowls and lose. Like the Dan Reeves and guys like that who don't get in. But I think Andy Reid, like the biggest change from coming up short in these big games to now dominating in these big games and it seems like winning all these close games is Mahomes.
Yeah, but I think Mahomes gets drafted by the wrong team. I have no idea what happens. I really believe that. And same because Tom Brady, obviously the GOAT, he said if I got drafted by Arizona, I'd be out of the league.
Yeah, but Tom Brady didn't have the same physical gifts that Patrick Mahomes does. Brady needed this. I'm not doing your Brady system quarterback thing because he was so great in big moments. But Brady doesn't have nearly the arsenal in terms of physical gifts that Mahomes has. He's I think we can all say, like, Mahomes is probably a more talented quarterback. Brady just maximized every moment of his career.
But is he so talented? I mean, he like Brady, his brain is his biggest weapon. Is he so talented that he could have done this? I mean, is he more physically gifted than Lamar Jackson?
Well, maybe not Lamar, but I think like Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
I mean, Rodgers Rodgers is quite physically gifted.
That's what I'm saying. I think that Mahomes is as physically gifted as Rodgers, and he's got that winning.
No, I'm saying like
that
Lamar
stuff in the great moment, like Brady.
Right. Well, like those guys, for whatever reason, like if Aaron Rodgers, you're right. Mahomes might have won a Super Bowl in Buffalo or Baltimore. Those are really good teams.
Yeah.
But I think Aaron Rodgers probably would have won with Andy Reid, like a bunch more. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers had gone to KC in 2017 or something, with the level of talent, like maybe he wins more. And I do think Reid matured as a coach, but he's really good with quarterbacks. So I think it's the marriage more than. And I kind of felt the same thing about Brady and Belichick, that it was really the combo of the two. I don't think you can separate it.
Yeah, 855-212-4227. Pine Needle is in the chat. He's with you. If Mahomes were in any other system, he would not have won any Super Bowls. It's Andy Reid. I mean, just strong disagree. And the other part about this is I think when Andy Reid does retire, I think Mahomes is going to continue to win. And Brady won a seventh Super Bowl with Bruce Arians, but at that point, Brady was 42. I mean, he was his own coach, I think, at that point.
That was amazing.
But I think Mahomes continues to win even when Andy Reid hangs it up. Say that's in 3 years, 5, 8, you said. I think Mahomes, as long as he's healthy, there's more winning.
I thought Andy Reid could go to 8 until I heard that answer yesterday. Now it seems like it's on his mind. If he three-peats, I guess it's also a matter of, what does he have left to prove? If you say he won 4 in a row, at a certain point, he could walk off more easily.
Yeah, I think there's a part of Andy Reid. I think he will coach until someone tells him, hey, it's time. Because I don't think he will ever voluntarily take himself off the sidelines. I think he's one of those guys like Belichick or a lot of these dudes. No, I don't think he's got many hobbies. I don't think that he really, I don't think he could relax. I think he's always football.
But he doesn't have the same intensity of Belichick. Like Bill Belichick.
That we see.
Yeah, I don't know.
Behind the scenes, I think he's holding guys accountable for sure.
He just seems a little more laid back than Belichick to me.
Well, I mean, a brick wall seems more laid back than Bill Belichick.
Yeah, I just feel like you said that he doesn't have any other hobbies. Bill Belichick really didn't have any other hobbies.
I think of Jimmy Johnson, like Jimmy Johnson going to the Florida Keys and just fishing.
Yeah, no, he's not that either.
Seems like that's right.
I don't know. There seems like something like Andy Reid seems a little more settled in who he is right now. Bill Belichick always felt like he had to prove something. I don't get that with Andy Reid. But, I mean, honestly, he's 66. There also is the reality. If you hit 70 as a coach, it's a lot of work. I'm sure that he's considering, man, do I want to keep doing this?
We'll get the thoughts of our next guest on Coach Andy Reid, and that would be one of our favorites, the ultimate NFL writer, and that's Peter King. He will join us next. We'll get his thoughts on Reid, his thoughts on Mahomes versus Brady, and what the Eagles have at stake in this Super Bowl. It's Maggie and Perloff from New Orleans.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining.
Town with suspicion in his eyes, saying Kaplan's got a secret and he's hiding it inside. Sack Job's lost in darkness, Ryan Stream's a mess, Chappelle Wolf's just a spinning wheel. Oh Lord, what a distress. But Maggie and Perloff They shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily say the shade, but I swear on my name. I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't look at me. Ask the guy who's missing more than Tennessee team. So Davey, my friend, don't spread that lie. I ain't no bandit, I just make strings fly. But Maggie and Perloff, they shine so bright like a star in the desert on a Texas night. Daily says it's shade, but I swear on my name. I just push the buttons, I don't play no games. Now Peter Bellotti, well he don't show, and that man's supposed to be running this show. If there's a tech problem, don't.
One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Super Bowl's almost upon us, and history could be made if the Chiefs can win a three-peat. We're asking you who's feeling more pressure. Is it Mahomes or Jalen Hurts? Because Mahomes wants to make history, and Jalen Hurts, you don't want to be two of the three losses of the three-peat.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, though. If you look at big history, Jalen Hurts being linked to Patrick Mahomes is not a bad thing.
Yeah, but on the wrong end. Yeah. Let's get the thoughts of, one of our favorites, longtime friend, personally, and friend of the show. Of course, he is a multi-time National Sports Writer of the Year and one of the preeminent NFL writers that we've ever seen. It's the one and only Peter King, now part of the Let's Go podcast with Jim Gray. Peter, thanks for the time. How are you?
Maggie and Andrew, great to be with you. How are you?
We're doing great. You told me this is 40 years you've never watched a Super Bowl on TV, and this will be the first time you're watching from your couch.
Yeah, it'll be the first time since, I think, Super Bowl 17. Since I'm 67. I'm 67 years old. This will be the first time since I was 26, and we had a 5-month-old daughter in Cincinnati. It's the first time I will have watched it at home, and I'm really looking forward to it, quite honestly, because everybody always says, "Hey man, did you see the commercials?" What? What are you talking about? Hey, did you see this? You see that? No, I'm in the press box at the game. I'm not watching the game on TV. So I'm really kind of looking forward to it and seeing what the extravaganza is like.
I had a memory of you in New Orleans. You probably might not remember this. There was Hall of Fame voting Saturday. You happened to see me right outside, and you're just like, Andrew, I need a huge favor. Can you run to my room? I left my cell phone there, or something to that effect. And of course, it was Saturday, so I was free. Do you miss the atmosphere of being around all your coworkers and the New Orleans? I know you've done many New Orleans games. All the fans. Like, what about the vibes and the atmosphere of the Super Bowl?
You know, what I really miss is, 10 times over the years, I was the pool reporter for one of the teams at the Super Bowl. And what that means for people who don't know is you go to practice every day and you have sort of a sanitized version of what happened at practice. Last year I was at Chiefs practice and I saw Patrick Mahomes, on the Friday at practice, have an absolutely phenomenal practice. And look, I'll just make this point about the Super Bowl. Of course, it's always fun to be there. And over the years, I really enjoyed it. But really, you're so separated from actual football for 6 days before the game. And that's one of the reasons why I always like to do the pool reporting, because for 2 to 3 hours every day, you are actually touching the product. You're actually seeing what's going on there, and you're seeing, last year, you're seeing Travis Kelce walk up and down the sidelines as intense as if it were a game. You're seeing things that other people can't see and that really make you feel like you're at a football game. And yeah, obviously I miss friends. Last night, Mike Silver, Jenny Varentis, Kalen Kaler, and Albert Breer took a photo and sent it to me. And when I woke up this morning, they were saying, "Hi, Peter." And that was cool. But then I looked at the timestamp, 11:27 p.m. I was already asleep for 2.5 hours by then. So anyway, I'm glad I'm where I am, and life is where it should be.
Well, we're happy about that. But of course, we do miss you down here. We were talking. I said, you're going to buy a last minute ticket and fly down here, aren't you? And you assured me, no, I'm not going to. But Peter, I think what our audience would love to hear from you is, because you covered his career from pillar to post, Tom Brady, and the comparisons to Mahomes. If Mahomes can complete this three-peat, do you think it puts him on the level of Brady, ahead, still chasing? Where do you see that?
Well, Maggie, I guess I would answer it in this way. Tom Brady, by the age of 30, was 12-2 in playoff games with 2 championships and a passer rating of about 86. Patrick Mahomes, even before Sunday, is 17-3 with a passer rating of, I don't know, about 103 in the postseason and 3 championships. He's reached the championship game of his conference all 7 years that he has played professional football. He's done something that you'd have to go back to Otto Graham in the 40s and 50s. And to see anybody like that who has been as accomplished by the age of 30. But obviously, it's not about what happens by the age of 30. It's what happens in an entire career. And Tom Brady was absolutely fantastic because he won so many of his titles. I think he won 4 of his titles after turning 37. So, that standing the test of time is going to be the challenge for Patrick Mahomes. But look, he's the most accomplished quarterback, whether he wins Sunday or not, in the modern era of football since 1960. He's the most accomplished football quarterback of anybody ever by the age of 30. and we'll see if he can continue that.
Peter, we were having a debate before. Would Patrick Mahomes have had this level of success with another coach at another team? Or is this more of an Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes partnership?
I think it's absolutely a partnership. There's a reason why Patrick Mahomes, before the 2017 draft, was absolutely fixated on going to the Kansas City Chiefs. Of all the teams he could have gone to, that is the one team in the NFL. His agent told Brett Veach, the GM, that, make it happen. We'd love to end up in Kansas City, all that. And I think the biggest reason is now you see it. I think one of the great things about Andy Reid that puts him up with the greatest coaches of all time is that every single game you watch, and he'll call something that you've never seen him call before. He'll have a formation you've never seen before. Against the Buffalo Bills, for the first time all year, twice, he had a formation with two tight ends as sidecars to Patrick Mahomes. And on both plays, Kansas City scored touchdowns, once on a Kareem Hunt run and once on a Patrick Mahomes designed run around right end. And I mean, you see that all the time. Every game you see it. And I've texted, and as a matter of fact, I texted him before the Buffalo game, and I just said, man, I can't wait to see what I've never seen before. Because you go back to Corn Dog, those plays 2 years ago with Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, the jet motion coming inside and then going out, and you say, well, where did those come from? And so that is what is so great about Andy Reid, and why I'm sure Patrick Mahomes thanks his lucky stars for having him as his coach and play designer.
Peter, you're texting Andy Reid, basically daring him to do things he's never done right before he plays my Buffalo Bills. What kind of friend are you? like they needed that. Okay, so on the flip side of this, obviously Andy Reid is a legend, and Steve Spagnuolo, I think, deserves to go in the Hall of Fame as a coordinator. What he's done, just even going back to the Giants days, was stopping with Tom Brady. Here's the other thing, though, about Nick Sirianni. It's funny because the other coach, Peter, I thought was going to be the first coach fired this year. And everyone kind of asked, like, what do you do around here? We're not even really sure what his, he's not really, I don't think, thought of that highly outside of the building. Is there a comp for Nick Sirianni through history of someone who maybe we either underestimated, didn't give enough credit to as a coach?
That's a really, really good question. I think, as I process that and think of somebody, I'll just tell you the one thing that I think about Nick Sirianni this year. I think a lot of times your players can really help you form your identity. And when Nick Sirianni's players saw that he was, to put it mildly, embattled, both coming out of last season and then early this season, and, why did it take the Eagles so long to, at the end of last season, to confirm absolutely that Sirianni was going to be back? You have to think that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie were considering, after the collapse last year, do we have the right guy for the job? And so, anyway, they obviously, after watching what's happened this year, and watching how seamlessly Saquon Barkley has come into this offense, and watching how the quarterback has played better down the stretch, I think that, to me, says that the coach has a really good hold on his team. And as far as coaches go, I think the one guy, and I'm not saying that this is exactly the same, because it certainly isn't exactly the same, but I will look back at a guy who coached a long time ago, just sort of when I got in the game, who was kind of embattled, Sam Wyche of the Bengals, who was embattled both in Cincinnati and Tampa Bay, did things his way, and really basically said, I am going to handle this team the way I think is best to handle it. Had an explosive offense. I don't know. I'm not saying that they're similar, but I'm saying that he reminds me, what's happening in Philadelphia reminds me a little bit. That's the first team I ever covered in the NFL, and it sort of reminds me how the storm on the outside is different than what's happening inside.
Peter, this week is Hall of Fame week as well, Super Bowl week. Big name. We're in New Orleans, obviously. The Mannings are everywhere. What's your opinion on Eli Manning's Hall of Fame candidacy?
My opinion is I'd be surprised if he got in this year. First of all, I think there's some tremendous first year and early competitors among the modern era candidates. I think Marshall Yanda's got a fantastic case. Terrell Suggs, Adam Vinatieri, he's going to get in the Hall of Fame one day, whether it's this year or another year. So I think that part of it is hard. I am not in any way, I don't subscribe to the theory that, it really should take a lot more. You ought to be a real superstar in history to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I could give a crap whether a guy gets in on the first ballot, second, third, fourth, whatever. It doesn't matter. The job of a Hall of Fame voter, and I am not one anymore, but the job of a Hall of Fame voter is to select the best players or the best coaches, whoever it is, that year, regardless of whether it's his first year, eligible for the Hall or 15th year eligible for the Hall. And look, I'm not involved in it. I don't know what is going to happen, but there seems to be a lot of noise out there that even though Eli had the two superior years, that his candidacy is kind of marred by the fact that that's it, in terms of making great noise in the playoffs. He had 2 years. Now, you beat the great Belichick and the great Brady twice. That says a lot to me. In my opinion, he is a Hall of Famer. I don't see him getting in this year with the competition he has. If I could say one other thing about the Hall, look, one of the things that really chafed on me as I got older in this job is how much criticism the voters get. And look, we deserve to be put under a microscope. I get it. I always explained who I voted for and why, because I think we owe that to the public. But I also think that the orchestrated campaigns and the social media stuff that goes on now, criticizing the Hall of Fame voters and the vote itself is just gotten really crazy. And it's one of the reasons why, believe me, I was not at all unhappy to resign, as a voter when I retired. I should, in my opinion, if you're not in it every day, just let somebody else do it. I did it for 33 years. It's time for people to hear another voice, but it kind of wore on you at the end.
That's not just for football, by the way. It felt like there was, I don't say a witch hunt to try to find the one person who didn't vote for Ichiro to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. It's like, let's find this person and basically, put him in the town square. Peter King is joining us. Just another minute with you, Peter. And you mentioned about the outside criticism. The referees, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, there's a lot of questions. I know Roger Goodell came out, and called it ridiculous that there's any kind of bias towards the Chiefs. I'm curious now that you've had you're like a year kind of removed from doing this every single day in your first year of air quotes retirement, even though you're on the Let's Go pod and I'm sure you're watching every second. Do you think that the Chiefs have enjoyed even a bit of a home field, home cooking bias, or do you think this story is also ridiculous?
I don't think the story is ridiculous. I think it's way overdone. But then again, everything in the media about the NFL is way overdone. So join the club. I just know this, Maggie, that if you were going to start talking about bad calls or calls that, quote, favor a team, end quote, you better be prepared to know that I want to analyze all the calls. Let's look at every call, both for and against Kansas City in the game. Let's look at they're on what are they on? Like a 9-0 playoff run or whatever it is. Let's look at every call in those games that was flagged. Okay? And let's say, was that a penalty? Was that a penalty? People can look at these and look, we all saw the 2 calls against Houston that were lousy calls. We saw it. They were not valid fouls. But for that then to rise to the level, again, I would have to go back and look at that entire game. And obviously those were 2 big the first one was a huge call. I would have to go back and look at the entire game to see, did Houston get a couple of calls that game? I don't know, because everybody is so laser focused on Kansas City getting the advantage and getting the edge. And look, as far as the Josh Allen call, people on 4th and 1, people have to remember one thing about that, okay? If it's called one way on the field, you have to have absolute proof. The rules say you have to have absolute proof that the call was wrong on the field in order to change it. I've seen a lot of replays, and I've never seen absolute proof that he made the first down. Now, maybe he did, but if you're going to change a call, you better have absolute, incontrovertible evidence that the call on the field was wrong.
Peter, I'll point you to some scientists in Buffalo who may. I'm just kidding. Peter, I'm curious, what are you guys eating for your first Super Bowl at home? You and your lovely wife, Ann, are going to be watching the Super Bowl. First time since Super Bowl 17 you're watching on TV. By the way, you're going to be a little disappointed by the commercials. I just don't set the bar too high, okay? Like, have a realistic view. Any snacks? Like, what's the...
Well, we are going to have some snacks. And as a matter of fact, Ann's feeling a little bit of pressure to have good snacks, because we're not, we don't put 8 pounds of nacho cheese over our chips or anything like that. It's just not, I don't know. We don't love that kind of a snack. So I'm sure we'll have some snacks. I just hope that we also have a couple of cold beers, and
there you go.
I think it'll be a lot of fun.
The Allagash Whites, Peter. I was reading those columns every week. Thank you so much for the time, and enjoy it, and thank you for doing this.
Yep. You're welcome, guys. Have a great week in New Orleans.
Appreciate it. Listen to Peter on the Let's Go podcast. Does a great job. Jim Gray and Brady, Larry Fitzgerald. Just fantastic stuff. Okay, we'll react to that in just a moment, but first we have this.
Oh, it's getting there, Maggie. Not only do I have my team playing, I get to enjoy the big game with Prize Picks. It's the best place to win cash in the big game. So simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport. So you could obviously go with football, college basketball. I know you've been riding that. Pro basketball, golf. You pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. You got to join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. It's available in more than 40-plus states, including California and Texas.
Okay, I know that you're like on a crusade against the Knicks, but I'm telling you, you got to get behind some of these Jalen Brunson more than totals, Perloff. I mean, at least make yourself a little bit of money. Combine that, let's keep it all in New York with a little St. John's, Johnny's Hoops. All you got to do for the big game, though, is download the Prize Picks app, because they're giving away a free pick where a quarterback only needs to throw for 1 yard to win. We like that. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code MMP. Get a $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code MMP on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you get the $50 in bonus credits for just playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Manned P.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff show. We're so pleased to have one of our great friends grace us on the set. And it's funny because, Ryan, I always want to introduce you as former NFL quarterback Ryan Leaf. But you are so beyond that with the great work that you're doing with the Menninger Clinic and also with Last Mile Radio on Sirius XM. Like, how much of your identity is still quarterback versus now a man who went through recovery and is helping other people try to get their life figured out?
You know, I think for a lot of people, it's still probably rooted in football.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's just how it's going to be, especially when you spend time around this this. And then I just went on like the analytics, one of the analytics show with Lindsay Rhodes.
Yeah.
Our friend Lindsay.
30-13. Yeah.
And it was, and we got to bring up the 4th and 5 play by the Bills there and really kind of go through it. That was so much fun being able to kind of just, football's never going to go away from me. Mm-hmm. So I don't mind it. It allows me to have a lot of fun around football. But those two things you talked about, the Menninger Clinic and the Last Mile Radio, I mean, that is incredibly purposeful work because it's having real purposeful change in other people's lives.
It's funny. There was an allegation, or there was like an anonymous report wondering if Shedeur Sanders, the draft prospect, quote unquote, loved football. And you hear that almost every draft. Does this guy love football? I'm curious, did Ryan Leaf during the draft, did you love football? And is that a real thing? Like, do you look at prospects, or is that just something that like anonymous scouts say? Is it really a thing? Do you want your players to love football?
Of course. I mean, what I would love to hear is, do you love to compete?
Okay.
That's if because if you're willing to compete at anything, it doesn't matter. Do you like to compete? Are you in a situation where all of a sudden you're playing on Sunday or you're in practice and your guy doesn't want to compete? That's the bigger thing for me, because you can love a lot of things, but if you love competition, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You're gonna want to compete at it.
But I'm gonna play counter. I know you're a very competitive person. So what you look back at what happened with you drafted? Did you love to compete at that time? Did you love football at that time?
Yeah, I love to compete.
Yeah,
I wish.
Yeah, you're so competitive.
I wish the Senior Bowl allowed underclassmen. I mean, because could you imagine Peyton and I playing in the Senior Bowl against each other? How they could have marketed that? Like, what were you guys doing back then? Like, this is the perfect opportunity before the draft, before anything, to have the two guys that were going to be drafted first and second actually compete before. That would have been really fun. And I look back on it and some of the, I guess, information that I was fed from my agents and people, things like that. The fact that I didn't compete at the combine makes me angry. It was a waste of time because we didn't do anything. Neither Peyton and I did. We waited till our pro day, which was great because I had my wide receivers, so there was continuity there. But I really wish I would have, because I love to compete. So any opportunity for me to show you that I was a better football player than anybody of you out there, I wanted to take that. Yeah.
Ryan, you do so much work with college football players and pro players, but also in college. You go around the country, you talk to all of these teams about dangers, pitfalls, things to stay away from, but also like you're seeing a different athlete now, with NIL and just how much the college game has been professionalized in a real way. Do you notice there's a different type of stress that these college football players are under because of the money?
Well, I don't think there's much stress now with the money.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So it's maybe easier.
Well, I think that's a variable that was unquantified. I thought there was two really variables for scouts and for everybody preparing for players for the draft. What would life-changing money do to you in terms of your work ethic and things like that? You couldn't quantify that. I mean, hell, I bounced a check for $13 to Pizza Hut the week before the draft. So, you had no idea what life-changing money was going to do to me. But you do now. You do know that. I think the scouts are really going to have, an advantage knowing one of those now as they can quantify that with their grades, with their numbers on, when so-and-so got this much money, he wasn't in the film room as much, right? He wasn't around the facility as much. When a guy's being paid that kind of money in college and the dude doesn't change and he's there like crazy, and that's the stuff I heard about Shedeur. Guy's driving around in a $300,000 Lamborghini or something in Boulder, and yet he's the first guy in there at 6 a.m. He's watching film. He's in the weight room. I'm like, things don't change. Once you have a mindset like I'm a football player, the football player is the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So everything I do has to benefit the foundation of building that up. And those are just things I didn't understand. And when you haven't had money, and I think this can go a long way of teaching these guys this earlier so they don't make the same mistakes maybe when they get to the NFL.
You were just at the Senior Bowl. You spoke to the players there. You're in the room with them. Who stood out to you among this class?
Jalen Milroe, he's an Alabama quarterback. I think there was a lot of expectation. After he heard me talk, he came up and we talked about, some of the things around, not allowing other people to, set expectations for you, but rather you and the what you're trying to accomplish and understand. And that was great to hear, for somebody who I think a lot of people are a little hesitant about because, he's more of an athletic quarterback. He's big, physical, he's a leader and all those things. But there were times last year that I think a lot of people in Alabama thought that he probably should have been sat down, and Kalen DeBoer needed to move on, and instead they lost 4 games, and in that part of the country you could lose your job for losing 4 games, and that's a big deal. So I really liked him.
Ryan Leaf is joining us for a few more minutes. Justin Herbert, I know you're close with him. We're on in Oregon. You got a lot of big Justin Herbert fans, and forgive me, Oregon, but tough way to lose in the playoffs. I know this was heartbreaking, but what advice would you have for Herbert for this offseason? Because it feels like it's so close to clicking, it just hasn't yet.
I mean, I didn't see it coming. I thought them getting the 5 seed was an absolute shoe into the divisional round, and Houston just played their best football game of the year. Big mistakes offensively. I think what it was is they just weren't able to capitalize on some early opportunities that would have got them in the end zone, and I think that game turns out much differently. But they had to settle for field goals, made mistakes. Justin made some plays that he hadn't made all year long in terms of turnovers. I mean, he only had 3 interceptions coming into that playoff game, and I think he ended up with more in the game than he did the entire season. So it's also the first year under Jim Harbaugh going to the playoffs. So sometimes you need failure. You need to experience failure so that you can do it better the next time. And so I would suspect he goes back to the lab. He does great off-season work. He gets healthy again, and then he works on his fundamentals. He's got a great coach. And then I just think they got to add. They got to add pieces. I think the offensive line, for as much as they built up, was a real problem last year. Like, they let Justin get crushed a bunch.
Yeah.
And that shouldn't be the case for how much they've invested in first-round picks on the protection of that. Those draft picks could have gone somewhere else. What's the defensive line look like? Bosa and Mack are getting older. I think they got to be a little bit better on the back end outside of Derwin James. But I think they're, like you said, I think they're really, really close.
Tell me about Last Mile Radio. Who have you talked to, and what's the theme of it?
Well, so it's a foundation that was built about 15 years ago with a couple out of Silicon Valley. They were venture capitalists, and they just started going into prisons trying to see if they could put down, like build some businesses out of, justice-impacted people who are getting out, to give them an opportunity. And it's morphed into something different. Their educational programming now they teach them coding, how to code while they're in there, and then audio, visual, and video production. So these are applicable skills for when they get out. If somebody doesn't want to give them a job because there's a convicted felon or something like that, that they can actually go do it on their own. And that's a big thing, because there's what's lost in a lot of this is you walk out and there's just no hope. You think, and that's why the recidivism rate is so huge. And so these programs now, in I think over 13 states and 15 or 17 facilities all over the country now. And SiriusXM really liked the project, and they started a radio show around it, and I was made the host about 6 months ago. And some of the stories I've been able to tell of individuals. I was in San Quentin Penitentiary just 2 weeks ago. That's where California's death row was forever. It's the oldest prison in California, and it's really changing. They are trying to. They've added rehabilitation center to the name of San Quentin Penitentiary and Rehabilitative Center, and that alone just defeats stigma. It starts the verbiage of people thinking differently and noticing. 95% of the people that are currently incarcerated are going to get out in this country, 95% of them. So wouldn't you want to give them the best chance to build your community up rather than to victimize it when they get out? And so that's what this program is, and then the opportunities that I get to do, go into these prisons, to talk to people, to tell their stories.
Ryan Leaf, you can hear him Last Mile Radio on SiriusXM, and the great work you do with the Menninger Clinic. Ryan, you're an inspiration. You hear that a lot, but we mean it. Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. It's always awesome to see you.
Let's get to Andrew Bogusch now, who's got headlines. What's going on in the world, Bogues?
Guys, if you weren't here back in hour one, Bronny James hit his first NBA three-pointer last night, playing the final 6 minutes of the Lakers' 122-97 rout of the Clippers in their new building. In other father-son news, Marcus Jordan is facing DUI and cocaine possession charges after driving his Lamborghini onto train tracks in Florida very early yesterday morning. Not surprisingly, and maybe as he should, Marcus dropped his dad's name to responding officers.
I'm Marcus Jordan. I'm Michael Jordan's son. Okay. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm just trying to get home, and I made a wrong turn. Okay? And clearly, we would just like to get our car off of the train tracks.
Marcus
became personal with me.
was
Does that happen? Can you take a wrong turn and end up on train tracks? Has that ever happened in the history of anyone?
I'll give him this, Maggie. I think you can take a wrong turn, end up on train tracks. You can't end up as far down the train tracks as Marcus Jordan did.
He was like in the middle of the woods, it looked like. I couldn't even tell it was train tracks until they got closer. Yeah, well, this is the body cam footage that came from the police. So he's in this fancy blue car, obviously. He's Michael Jordan's son. And he's like, yeah, it's the darndest thing. Like, we were on our way to the 7-Eleven, and these train tracks just appeared out of nowhere.
Just trying to get home, Maggie.
Yeah, it's like, okay. It's funny. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Right.
Because if he was driving impaired or whatever, we don't know if he was. He says he wasn't, but he had the cocaine in the car and whatever. But allegedly. No one got hurt. I actually think this is the appropriate use of, do you have any idea who my father is? That's the most obnoxious. It's the most obnoxious thing that anyone can say in the world. Do you have any idea who my father is? But if I've just driven a quarter of a mile on some train tracks with my Lamborghini, and I got 3 cops there, and I'm in the middle of it was pitch black. I'm dropping I'm Michael Jordan's son.
I know.
I had no problem with it.
Yep. I know Scottie Pippen. What can I get you guys? Anything you need.
Yeah, would you like some shoes? Yeah, I know Larsa. I know.
Actually, I wouldn't drop the Larsa thing. I would, depending where you are, I don't think that went over well.
Yeah, maybe not. A lot of people took her side. But still, I think you should not drop that when you table reservation. I don't love it when it gets, kids into college, the nepotism stuff. Gets you things you don't deserve. But I'll tell you, if there's 3 cops around me and I'm in big, deep doo-doo, I'm definitely going I'm Michael Jordan's 3rd cousin, twice removed. We had dinner once when I was 12. Does that do anything for you?
Well, what if you're in this situation, and thank God you're not, and you never would be, what name would you try?
I don't know. Those train tracks just pop up on
you.
Drive my Lamborghini.
What would you try? What would you figure out? Oh, my God.
Do you know McLovin?
McLovin.
Yeah.
Hopefully you get the cops that pulled over McLovin.
Oh, no, I know what you could use. You could use, you used to be at the New York station. Did you listen to me? A New Jersey cop? They love that.
Be like, no, I'd have to do the opposite. Do you know Mike Francesa? Well, I replaced him, and then he replaced me right back. Can I offer you that? Maybe Boomer. I don't know. Boomer.
Tiki.
I think, Tiki would help. I know Gary V, but that's like, you got to have.
Cop?
I don't know. Maybe they're into motivational speaking.
Oh, yeah, of course.
I'll ask Trooper Mike's around here somewhere.
Wait, is this the same Michael Jordan who used to own the Bobcats?
Yes, that guy.
Oh, okay. Now I understand. Now I know who you're talking about.
He played before he was an owner.
Oh, did he really? Was he really good?
He's pretty
Young
good.
Manny.
No better than LeBron, I imagine.
I am just, I'm. This is embarrassing for Marcus. He's had a couple gaffes lately, and thankfully no one was hurt. No problem dropping the do you know who my father is. Who would you drop? What name would you drop if you were in this pickle, DP?
Dan Patrick. In fact, I think you should drop his name, too.
I met Dan once.
Yeah. Go. Yeah, do you remember the Dan Patrick show?
Yeah, it's like my co-host was his right-hand man.
Yeah. Wow. There's got to be someone better than that.
Oh, Sandler.
Most amazing thing I ever saw. Farrell or Sandler.
You could drop Will Ferrell or Adam Sandler. That's getting you out of jail.
But it's not like I talk to those guys. That would be a totally made-up thing.
You're
Sandler.
in a movie.
Everybody loves Sandler. That's 100% approval.
You could
rating.
say, did you see Hustle? I'm reporter number 2. Cruz.
But everybody was, they might be reporter number 1 fans.
Now, Anthony Gargano? What a hack. I'm just kidding.
My barber only knows you as the reporter from the movie. Like, when I showed him the show, he was like, oh, I know him. He's an actor, right? I was like, an actor? I was like, oh, he wasn't Hustle.
Wow, that guy really knows the movie Hustle.
I guess he does.
He's that guy from that thing.
How's it feel getting into the combine?
Bo Cruz.
Bo Cruz. Yeah, you'd have to drop Sandler.
Yeah.
I mean, DP or Sandler. That's pretty good. You're getting out of jail.
Yeah,
Am I getting out of jail?
Those are high approval ratings. Yeah, you could drop those names, too. We got to do better than this. We know somebody. Do you know any politicians or anybody influential or powerful?
That's dicey. In this day and age, in these divided times, who are you going to drop? Which name? That could land you in jail even faster.
Yeah, that's a good point.
On both sides.
Good point.
I All right. Well, anyone else got anything better than Sandler?
Yeah. Anybody in the room have a good name drop?
In case you need to get out of jail, what celebrity could you drop?
I got nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing better than Sandler.
Oh, you know what? I got it. I went to the same high school as Kobe Bryant.
There you go. But
that is always that's like the third thing I tell people about me.
You played against Kobe.
Played against Kobe. My brother was on a team with Kobe.
But in Philadelphia, if you're not in Philly or LA, is that going to work for you?
Oh my God, he's more popular. He's not that popular in Philly anymore. They turned on Kobe.
Well, I went to the same high school as Joe Torre, only about 50 years after.
Loose connection.
Don't know if that's helping me.
That's not bad with the cops.
I get Henry Heimlich.
Bogusch, you got some famous people from your high school.
Mike Breen.
Well, Mike Breen went to my college. Dr. Fauci went to my high school. Would that go over well? University? No.
Dicey.
Moving on.
They might find you in the woods months later.
Second time.
Aaron Rodgers will have you just up in his basement somewhere, waterboarding you, being like, "So what do you actually know?"
That's the second time this week you almost made me spit out my coffee, Bogusch.
Yes, the first time was when you said Hunter Dickinson dropped 30 points in front of his grandkids.
Yeah.
He's at Kansas for a decade. All right, folks, thanks so much. Lots more to do here, including more of our guests from Radio Row here in New Orleans. And a big question that we have for a guy who's on the trade block, the odds-on favorite to land this star. We'll tell you where he's going next. It's M&P.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on Super Bowl Radio Row is sponsored by Tide Pods. Turn to cold water washing with Tide Pods. When you switch from hot to cold, you could save up to $150 a year on your energy bill. Plus, Tide cleans great in cold. Told you guys yesterday, I wash everything in cold, and I don't wash darks and lights separately. I wash them together. If you wash them in cold with Tide Pods, everything's perfect. Okay, so a couple things. We need to react to our interview with Peter King quickly, and then we'll get to some odds. Who's the odds-on favorite to land Myles Garrett and also Cooper Kupp, two guys who are in trade rumors now. Peter King said a couple interesting things when he joined us at the top of the hour, as he always does. One, though, was a question you asked him about the Hall of Fame and Eli Manning.
Oh, well, does he think Eli's going to get in, basically? I was shocked. Peter said he doesn't think he's going to be first ballot. I don't know why. I thought this was a fait accompli that Eli was going to get in. Obviously, 2 Super Bowl rings is his defining Hall of Fame characteristic. I kind of thought America had settled on, and the NFL Nation had settled on the fact that Eli was a Hall of Famer, even if a lot of us don't think he was a great regular season player. Guy's got 2 rings.
Yeah, literally like a 500 record throughout his regular season career, and he also never won a playoff game outside of the 2 epic runs, to win Super Bowls. He had this longest start streak that was active until the Giants pulled the plug on that when they went to Geno Smith because they eventually wanted to go to Davis Webb, I think. I'm remembering that now. But
as a coach or a player?
What's that? Oh, yeah,
Davis Webb is now like a hot coach, but
Of course. Backup quarterbacks, man. Just following the formula. But Eli has a lot going for him, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I do think that matters. Peter said he doesn't care if you're first ballot, if you get in your last year of eligibility. To me, I think the players care about that, and I think there should be a distinction between first ballot and not, because Deion Sanders has talked about the inner circle of Hall of Famers. I think the players almost feel pride in that distinction. I was a first ballot Hall of Famer, and even CC Sabathia this year with the Baseball Hall of Fame, that was his first tweet out, first ballot Hall of Famer. Didn't have to beg for it, didn't have to wait around, and I think Eli is not a first ballot.
Well, yeah, one thing I disagreed with a little, Peter, but he might be more well-versed on this. He said there's some strong candidates, and he mentioned Marshall Yanda of the Ravens.
And Terrell Suggs.
Well, did he say Suggs? I know he said
Suggs, yeah.
He said Yanda. Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't see that as a no-brainer. I think, obviously, Marshall Yanda was a great player.
Well, he might have to wait.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's not that great of a class. So I'm not sure that Eli is going against a lot of behemoths. I think this is the finalists: Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jari Evans, the tackle, actually the guard for the Saints. Antonio Gates, complicated.
Yeah.
Because of PEDs.
PEDs.
Torrey Holt, Kuechly.
High peak, but not a long career with Kuechly.
I think Kuechly seems. Oh, I thought that's another one. I'm like, Kuechly's a Hall of Famer.
No, I think he is, but again, it
Yeah.
wasn't the longevity. It was
Yeah.
just the high peak.
Eli, Steve Smith Sr., he's a good player. Terrell Suggs, Fred Taylor, Vinatieri, Wayne, Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yanda. It's a good class, but not an overwhelming class.
Well, you
That's
still
why
have guys held
Yeah.
from years past, or no? This is all who they're picking from.
I believe
That's just the finalists. You're right. That's the finalists.
Right. That's what I
Yep.
was wondering the same thing. So Eli's, I'm reading this article. Of course, Eli's a headliner on that list of finalists. I think Eli's fame and the post-career success plays into this. We know that's how it works.
Bob Custer's in our chat, youtube.com/infinitysportsnet. He says, why isn't two-time Super Bowl winner Jim Plunkett in the NFL Hall of Fame?
Look at Plunkett's numbers. I mean, they're outright bad. I mean, really bad. Back in an era where you could throw 8 touchdowns and 30 picks in a season. Plunkett had no success. So, yeah, and honestly, I think he should be. 2 Super Bowl rings is a big deal.
I think for 2 Super Bowl rings, both for quarterbacks and for coaches.
Well, also, wait, how about this argument? The fact that the Giants have fallen apart since Eli left. Maybe it was more the Giants. Maybe the reason they're 500 is because of Eli. I mean, is not because of Eli, because the franchise is kind of lost.
Okay, but what is that? Eli? Was that Tom Coughlin? Because they've been searching now.
Yeah, maybe.
Since both of those guys, and it's hard to get over, get past when you have great quarterback and great coach combination.
But I think it's like the Supreme Court definition of adult content. It's when you know it, when you see it, and Eli feels like a Hall of Famer to me. You're right, the numbers are not great. And I think, if we put up that poll, I'll bet you it's close to 50-50. I know there are a lot of people who agree with you that it's not a no-brainer.
I don't think so. Well, no, I think he'll get in because of his last name and because of the 2 runs. But I think first ballot should be reserved for the guys who there is no debate.
Oh, by the way, Jim Plunkett, I'm just looking up, was 72 and 72, exactly 500 as well.
Same as Eli. Funny.
Yeah.
Okay, quickly. Well, we don't have all the time in the world for this, but just quickly, the odds-on favorite in terms of teams to land Cooper Kupp, who knows that he's being traded from the Rams, the Steelers and the Bengals,
Ooh.
both tied in the odds. What's a better fit?
The Bengals is juicy, assuming they lose T. Higgins. I mean, anybody who Joe Burrow's throwing to is going to be awesome.
I bet Kupp definitely wants to go to the Bengals. If I were him, I would want to go there because who's going to be the Steelers quarterback?
I have no idea.
Yeah, they have a decision to make. Is it going to be Russ, Justin Fields, or whatever's behind door number 3? I don't know.
And you could get lost in Pittsburgh's offense. They don't love to throw the ball right now.
However, you're always going to have the baseline of making the playoffs with the Steelers.
Yeah,
the
that's true.
Bengals, it's high variance. You're in the Super Bowl one year, you're not making the playoffs the next.
Come on. I could catch three passes a game from Joe Burrow. That guy puts it right on you.
I know, but do you want to win another title?
I don't know. Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl a lot more recently than Mike Tomlin.
Meanwhile, odds-on favorite for Myles Garrett, according to DraftKings, first would be Cleveland, second would be the Washington Commanders. I think it's going to be D.C. Perloff thinks he's going back to Cleveland. So that's just a little bit of what's going on outside of the Super Bowl. When we come back, so much more to do, including it's Wednesday, which means the great debate.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
New Orleans site of Super Bowl 59, Maggie and Perloff show in full effect. Just really starting to get filled up here. And this is what happens as the week goes on. It starts to get crazier and crazier. And there's so much about this game, Pearl. Like, you don't even need to sell it. I know there's Chiefs fatigue, but they are on the doorstep of history. There is a lot at stake for Patrick Mahomes. I think there's a lot at stake for Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni. You don't want to be, as our boss Spike Eskin said earlier, our former boss, you don't want to be the team that loses twice during the three-peat. That's not good.
Yeah.
Someone else's three-peat.
But don't you get a little bit of house money vibe with the Eagles? Because this was not the year they were supposed to go here. I mean, after they fell apart in their Super Bowl hangover year, I don't see a lot of people were not picking the Eagles. Then they started out 2-2. You were ready to fire Nick Sirianni. So was I, to be honest. I just think that it doesn't feel like, I'm sorry, a team like the Bills or the Ravens, who have not with Lamar Jackson. It feels like those teams would add a lot more pressure than the Eagles. Maybe I'm trying to rationalize this, but I know what you're saying. You definitely don't want to be like the Denver Broncos in the 80s or your Bills or the Vikings back in the 70s. But I don't think like the Eagles are really thinking like that because I don't know that everyone thought they were going to be here. They're a very young defense. Like, they have 2 rookie cornerbacks. I don't know that they knew this was going to happen.
We put a poll out at Maggie and Pearl on X. Who has more at stake in this Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts? 65-35, it's Jalen Hurts. And I'm with the public on this one, 100%. Patrick Mahomes, it's almost like we're going for, like, the ultimate, the mountaintop. We're talking about Tom Brady. You know, Peter King joined us earlier, talked about nobody has been on a better run before the age of 30 as Patrick Mahomes. He blows everyone else out of the water. We're going to have Brady-Mahomes debates, I feel like, until the end of time. We had Brady-Joe Montana debates, and then Brady kind of put a lot of distance between himself and Montana. Mahomes is right here on the coattails.
Definitely.
But for Jalen Hurts, you might end up being like the answer to a trivia question if you don't play well in this game, and if maybe you don't win it. It's going to be who's the quarterback. I don't think Jalen Hurts is not on a Hall of Fame track. He's not going to go down as Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival. That's Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson. Yep. So for Hurts, he's got to play really great here to kind of be the difference, in my opinion, or else, again, I think he's a footnote.
Yeah,
That's not what he wants to be.
You think of the great Super Bowl teams or the great legacies. I don't know that you really call out the teams they beat. Like the Steelers, I know, beat Roger Staubach, but their last one was over Vince Ferragamo. Like, nobody's like, man, Vince Ferragamo blew it. And I know that's not good to say because that's saying Jalen Hurts is a Vince Ferragamo journeyman type, but I don't think it's the same as Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Because here's the bottom line. If Jalen Hurts Sunday throws for 120 yards, that is the best thing that could ever happen. That means the Eagles dominated the game on the ground and never had to go to the pass game. Okay. Like, what does that say?
Okay,
that means they don't want Jalen Hurts to throw the ball.
Okay, but here's the thing. You're envisioning that the script goes the way that the Eagles want it to go.
Right.
So he'd be a winner.
He'd be a winner, but he threw for 120 yards.
Well, I don't think he's going to be in the Trent Dilfers and the Brad Johnsons by any
Those
stretch.
guys threw for a lot more yards.
Well, but I think he at least would get the winner title. And I think he gets elevated in terms of, where he stands amongst quarterbacks in this league. I don't think we're going to be talking about Jared Goff being better than him or anything like that if he can win a Super Bowl.
If he only throws for 130 yards, that's going to elevate him?
Because they would have won.
It will be known as if that scenario plays out, it would be the Saquon Super Bowl.
855-212-4227. A couple more polls to update you on. Are handshakes out? You guys said yes. Public does not agree. 68% say no, they're not out. They're still in. So you guys have been fist bumping, giving elbows. Meanwhile, everyone else wants to shake your hand.
No, that is. If we had worded it, what's better? Which would you rather do, a handshake or a fist bump? I bet you it's the germs. I mean, yes, I understand. Like, there's something manly, like teach your son how to have a firm handshake. But think about it, like shake my hand right now.
Yeah, I'll shake your hand. I'll gladly shake your hand, sir.
It's kind of gross.
Why? My hands haven't been anywhere weird.
I know where your hands have been this week.
Yeah.
They've been a lot of weird places.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean,
they've been on an alligator. They've been in a gigantic pile of crawfish.
Yeah, thank you. That was a kick save and a boot there because my hands have been a lot of weird places. I didn't just want that to linger.
I know. If you actually don't,
I'm a married woman. We did hold an alligator. That was bad. Not bad. It was just not for me. I wasn't a fan of that. You were great. You actually held Minnie, the 5.5-foot alligator, by yourself. I had to do it with Mr. Richard.
My hands, I have cleaned them several times, but there are clothes in my hotel room now that smell like a combination of crawfish, alligator, emu. There are bizarre smells coming from my hotel room. I feel bad for anyone who had to go in and clean up that room. It's like, what is that smell? That is a bearded dragon or something. I don't even know what animals were crawling all over me.
Yeah, that bearded dragon definitely got all up in you, too. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a lot. Anyway, what were we talking about? Handshakes. A lot of people think that they are still in. And then lastly, what's the more difficult feat? Brady winning 7 Super Bowls in his 23-year career, or Patrick Mahomes capturing a three-peat? Right now, 61% say Brady with the 7 Super Bowls. The longevity is definitely winning out there.
It's kind of just math, Maggie.
Well, I mean, I'm never good at math, but I do think that the high peak of Mahomes doing something that even Brady couldn't do matters in this debate. So there you go. 855-212-4227. It is Wednesday, and you know what we do on Wednesdays. Hit it, Manny.
The Great Debate Series.
Okay, everyone ready to go? Let's do it. Today's great debate, as it is Super Bowl week, and we do these things based on the news. The most stunning Super Bowl moment. Stunning. Not greatest, not best. Stunning. Shocking. Alarming, if you will. More synonyms.
Can I start?
Yeah, of course, go.
I saw it the other day, and I relived it. It's the end of the Patriots-Seahawks Super Bowl. The Seahawks are coming down for what looks like the win, and Russell Wilson does this.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal.
That's courtesy NBC. I still can't believe that happened. Actually, I saw the pass. Al Michaels at first didn't know that it was intercepted. It was such a tight window. It wasn't the worst call I've ever seen, play call. But it definitely is going to haunt the Seahawks for decades.
It still has. I mean, ask Richard Sherman. He's got to be around here
I
somewhere.
know.
He's not over it.
Talking about how hard it is to three-peat, if you told me what team in the 2010s could have repeated it, it'd be the Seahawks, and they just fell apart. They should have had, 3, not 4, not 5. They should have multiple rings. And that decision, I think, not only cost them that Super Bowl, cost them moving forward.
I'm going to go last today. EJ, why don't you go next? The most stunning Super Bowl moment of all time was what?
So I'm going to go to something that was not actually in the game. Super Bowl halftime performances always give us memorable moments, big stars, but I think everyone was shocked when this thing happened.
I can't wait to get in my arms. Hurry up, come on, baby. Better have by the end of this song.
So at the end of that song there for Janet Jackson, you had Justin Timberlake in their duet performance at the end of the show have a wardrobe malfunction where he pulled something off Janet Jackson's blouse and
calling all boobs.
There you go. So yeah.
That's where it started.
Exposure out for Janet Jackson, and this was a massive story. I mean, it literally inspired the creation for YouTube. Because YouTube saw this and said, hey, we need to be able to capture these moments and have it up for everybody to see all the time. 150 million people saw Janet Jackson's one breast on national TV on the Super Bowl. I mean, I don't know how we could think of stunning moments and we don't look at the Janet Jackson Super Bowl performance, the quote-unquote wardrobe malfunction, as the most stunning. There's still conspiracy theories today. There are documentaries today coming out about what actually happened. Was it on purpose? Was it an accident? Janet claims it was. She bore the brunt for that. Her career changed drastically after that. So, to me, by far, this is the most stunning moment in Super Bowl history.
I had no idea this was the impetus for YouTube.
It sounds dubious to me.
According to Us Weekly, in the search I did 30 seconds ago, that is fact.
Well, I mean, if Us Weekly says it. But, I'm stunned that is the moment that created YouTube, although I'm not stunned if you said, what would be the reasons why YouTube was created? Women's chest would have actually been pretty high on the list.
Yeah, it's the only thing that fuels any technological advances on it. What do you think the internet's about?
Yeah, I know.
They didn't invent it so we could do online banking.
Guys, calling all boobs was the original YouTube tagline. That's where I got it from.
Yes, you should be getting royalties. Yeah. Where's Sergey to give you your giant check? Okay, we are asking. YouTube would have been grand opening, grand closing if it was Perloff. Anyway, kidding. Let's continue. A little sidetrack there. Most stunning Super Bowl moment. Manny, do you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. I'll go next. My moment, molded me as a young man.
How many Super Bowls do you remember, man?
4 of them.
5.
Okay.
They started with Mahomes.
Only the 2 giant wins.
Only the 2 giant wins. Funny you mentioned that, EJ, because when my stunning moment came from one of those 2, you had Eli Manning just about dropped by the Patriots, and then, Joe Buck.
3rd down and 5. Pressure from Thomas off the edge. Eli Manning stays on his feet.
Damn right.
Airs it out down the field. It is caught by Tyree.
Oh, yeah. Endless excitement there out of Joe Buck.
Yeah, way to sell it.
That play ended up, leading to Plaxico Burress' touchdown in the first Giants Super Bowl that I watched in my lifetime. So the Giants beating the Patriots, David Tyree making that improbable catch.
It's a great one. We'll never forget it. Wait, Drunkle Sam is in the chat saying, "Did you know it was originally called U-Boob?"
Yeah.
EJ,
don't go to that search on your work computer.
We're doing the most stunning Super Bowl moments.
Do it, Bogusch.
So far, Perloff has said it was Malcolm Butler at the goal line. EJ went with Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction. You just heard Manny with the David Tyree catch. Bogusch, go ahead.
Maggie, my sweet, sweet Magsy, I swear to whomever that this is 95% for me.
Oh, get out of here, Bogusch. Get out of here. If this isn't Mario Manningham.
There's a snap. There's a kick. It is up. It is no good. No one missed. 4 seconds left. The Giants have won Super Bowl 25.
That's Jack Buck. That's 11-year-old me thinking the Giants are going to lose the Super Bowl, and then they didn't after they won the NFC Championship game on a last-second Matt Barr field goal. A lot of emotions. My first real Giant memories growing up, sorry, Maggie, again, is them somehow winning this football game because Scott Norwood missed a 47-yard field goal, which today doesn't seem long, but in 1991, apparently it was like a 67-yard attempt. Because the call on TV was like, this is a long kick. And I'm like, it's 47, not 57, but okay.
My 97 brain cannot compute. What do you mean? A 47-yard field goal was considered 60 yards?
Yes.
You know,
That's true. No, that's absolutely true, man.
This is misinformation.
New kickers
No
are
problem.
crazy good.
You know, Bogusch, you had a few more choices here. You know, like I really thought you were going to go Mario Manningham.
I made a catch.
Mario Manningham.
You beat John Elway.
Not like this.
There was nothing shocking. If John Elway had won that game, that would have been shocking.
You're dead to me, Bogusch. All right, let's finish it off.
But to be fair, for an 11-year-old Bogusch, you weren't worried about the Bills. You're like, the Bills have a great team. They'll be back. They'll
be
win
back.
They'll be back.
They were back.
They were back.
No, they were back.
I
All
mean,
right.
this team is clearly going to break through at some point.
They can't lose. They've got Jim Kelly and
They have
Thurman
Thomas
and
Yeah.
Bruce Smith.
This is a small setback. I mean,
Just a
they'll
blip.
probably get their ring next year, if not that, the year after it.
It's been 75 years and we're still having this conversation.
I hate all of you. I thought that you guys were my friends, and it turns out you all suck.
One day they'll screw up a 4th and 1 measurement, and
Little did I know.
One day they'll have 13 seconds to work with, have a lead in the AFC Championship
All right,
game.
guys, got it.
I
Got
know.
it.
It's weird that this is most surprising Super Bowl moments, and mine is the squib kick.
Yeah, thanks. What do you want next? The Music City Miracle from the wild card round? The great debate today is most stunning Super Bowl moment, so technically Bogusch's does count, but I just find that very mean. Anywho, let me finish off this one because I think it's only apropos that I go last here because my stunning Super Bowl moment was the greatest moment for the team in the town where we are today, which is New Orleans, Louisiana, and what a gutsy play call from Sean Payton. Let's hear it.
Onside kick to start the second half, and the ball bounces off the hands of a Colt, and it looks like the Saints had it for a second. How about this way to start the second half? And a Saints football. They recover the onside kick.
How about that? Jim Nance, CBS. And so coming out of halftime, New Orleans is trailing Peyton Manning Peyton Manning, 10-6 in the Colts. The Thomas Morstead onside kick. They actually wanted to do a fake punt there, apparently, but didn't love what they saw. Instead, they go with the onside kick, and then later the Pierre Thomas 16-yard touchdown reception, and that gave them the lead. And they won the Super Bowl and kept Peyton from a ring. Now, he eventually got one by beating Rex Grossman and the Bears, but this was shocking that someone would have the stones to do an onside kick out of halftime. And because we're in New Orleans and it's such a great moment for this city, I thought that would be the most stunning moment.
I like it.
Yeah.
A little hometown cooking there.
Listen, New Orleans, knock on wood, been good to us so far. So we're having a great time.
And we were near alligators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a tour by someone who only had 6 fingers showing us an alligator farm.
And we're still here.
And we're still here. Okay, so there you go. That's our great debate for today, inspired by the Super Bowl. You are welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4227. Let us know what you think was the most stunning Super Bowl moment. We're back in a minute.
Calling all boobs.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Maggie and Perloff Show. It is our pleasure to be joined by a former NFL defensive lineman, former Notre Dame alum, also radio and broadcaster Hall of Famer, now here on behalf of Stello by Dexcom to talk about diabetes and prediabetes. It is the great Mike Golic. Thank you for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for the intro. I enjoyed that.
Did I get it all?
Yeah,
Did I get all?
Yeah.
And we said soon to be TikTok Hall of Famer.
Yes, you can find me on TikTok.
You've done it all. Okay, so it's actually only been 2 weeks since Notre Dame was in the national championship game. It feels like a month ago.
Boy, right to the heart you went, didn't you?
Well, everyone was rooting for Notre Dame. Like, that's a weird place for Notre Dame to be. You guys became likable.
It's amazing. It's because of Marcus Freeman, isn't it? I mean, Marcus Freeman, this young, good-looking, energetic coach who recruits incredibly well. Listen, my son Mike, who played in the national championship game in 2013, takes this stuff a lot harder. I was like, hey, great year. I was at the game. We were all at the game, and I was like, great year. The next year could be better. We'll see. But it was a hell of a year for him. For a Notre Dame team that you think sometimes can get close to the top and then sometimes down. They get ripped on all the time for not being in a conference, but who's laughing now? They're split. Yeah. They're not splitting their $30 million with anybody. So they're doing okay.
3D chess. That's what Notre Dame plays.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, everyone else playing checkers.
Wait, is this the beginning of a run? It feels like that.
A lot of it seems to depend on the portal. Now, Notre Dame always said they will only minor in the portal. They won't major in the portal. They'll still live off of 18-year-old recruits out of high school. But the last 2 years, they've had a portal quarterback. 1 year it didn't work with Sam Hartman, and this year it did work with Riley Leonard. So we'll see next year. Do they bring in a portal guy? Is it C.J. Carr, who's a youngster there? Is it Steve Angeli, who was the backup and did a great job when he came in at the end of the half of the previous game?
Mike Golic here with us on behalf of Stello by Dexcom, and we'll get to that in just a moment. You seem like you're happy to be in the national championship game. I thought you might be a little bit more down. There were some regrets from that game. Are you getting past it?
Yeah, there were some regrets. There were some questionable calls, but I'm not one though that hangs on it. I'm like, great year. Heck of a game, good first drive, great comeback in the end of the third and the fourth quarter. Yeah, do you make mistakes? Nobody plays the perfect game. I was bummed, but no, I don't let it affect me from once I walked out of that place. I'm fine.
Well, that's because you have another of your former teams with a chance to win a championship here, Philadelphia Eagles. So I told you before the interview, your team came up. The discussion was about Myles Garrett. Now, he wants to trade out of Cleveland, and one of the teams that's making the list is the Philadelphia Eagles. And we had a guest said, if the Eagles got Myles Garrett, that would be the greatest line since the Jerome Brown, Reggie White line. And I said, you mean the Mike Golic line?
Let me tell you what, if Myles Garrett goes to Philadelphia, the executive of the year should be named after Howie Roseman. I mean, it would be unbelievable. But listen, do I think that line would be as good? I'm pretty partial to.
Is that the best line ever?
Well, the reason why. It could be, and listen, it's because of Reggie, Jerome, and Clyde. Clyde is so underrated for what he did. We never won his title. You know what? A lot of times you rate on after winning a title. Like when I don't put our defense up as one of the greatest of 1 year of all time, people get mad at me. I'm like, it's tough because the Bears won in '85. Baltimore won a title with a great defense. Tampa Bay won a title with a great defense. We never won a title. But that doesn't take away from the great players that we had. And I would think a team would have to go a long way to beat those three guys on that defensive line.
Well, we got a 30 for 30 on the New York Sack Exchange. I feel like we need a 30 for 30 about you guys. Mike Golic is here with us on set. You know, your Philadelphia career came up a second time this week, Pearl. I thought that's what you were going to talk about. We were talking about the idea that Saquon Barkley may go down as the greatest free agent signing of all time, but I think Reggie White, when he went to go to Green Bay, was the greatest free agent signing of all time. And I know, obviously, how close you were to Reggie.
I would say Reggie was the great, and also the first, right? It was the first year of free agency. There were 11 of us that were free agents, and all of us left Philly. They didn't want any of us back, which was stunning. They didn't want Reggie back. And the amazing thing is, Reggie signed like a 5 or 6 year deal for like $17 million, which is laughable nowadays, right?
Backup quarterback money.
Yeah, exactly. But no, Reggie. It will go a ways until there's a better free agent pickup than Reggie White. He obviously paid off with a Super Bowl victory and is considered the greatest at all time of the position he played. So that's a tough hill to climb.
And jog our memory, where did you sign?
I signed with the Miami Dolphins, along with Ron Heller, Keith Byers, and Keith Jackson. There were 4 of us that ended up down there. We were 9-2, 11 games in, had the best record in the league. Dan Marino tore his Achilles in the pocket. With nobody around him. We all stood there in stunned disbelief like we did in 91 when Randall Cunningham got his knee blown out. And we lost the rest of the games my last year playing and didn't make the playoffs. So I went out with a wah-wah.
If quarterbacks see you coming, they have to run for cover. Mike Golic is here with us on behalf of Stello by Dexcom. And this is interesting because it's about diabetes and prediabetes. You know, I listened to Mike and Mike for so long. You guys were a huge part of my life. And I feel like because of that, I knew a lot about you. I didn't know that you were diagnosed with diabetes in your 40s.
Yeah, in my 40s, like 20 years ago when I was 42. I'm 62 now. My father had it as well. And, you know, the way of checking your blood sugar would be to, stick your finger with a pin or get a glucose monitor that was prescribed to you. Now, Stello is the first FDA-approved glucose biosensor that you can get over the counter. So any of the 125 million people who have type 2 diabetes or are pre-diabetic can just go buy one. It's a sensor. It's on the back of my arm. It attaches to an app, and it gives me 24/7 reading of my numbers. It gets affected by food, by sleep, by workout. It's like having a day-round, minute-by-minute account of my health. It's like a health advisor. So if instead of pricking my finger 100 times a day, I just leave this on, and it gives me 24/7 readings. It's a lifesaver.
Well, you look great.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Is this a common problem? There's some very big linemen in the NFL.
Well, it absolutely is.
Yeah.
And when you're done playing, it's like, okay, what direction do you go?
So guys go up.
Like when I first retired, retired at 32. I weighed 300 pounds of what was I considered good weight, playing weight. Now, I didn't play for a couple years after that. All of a sudden, I was like 318, and it was bad weight. I looked like a vanilla milkshake. and I needed to lose weight. And years after that, I found out I was diabetic. So that really kind of changed my lifestyle of getting the readings, and that's the way I have been living. And Stello.com is where you can get the info for it, has helped incredibly. It's really given me peace of mind.
Yeah.
I don't have to do the work. I just have to take the readings and kind of base everything around that.
And honestly, this is the day and age we live in. It's in
Yes,
every part of our life
exactly
where you get
right.
all the
Yep.
data. Like we talk about analytics in sports.
Exactly
you can
right.
track every step you're taking and all of that. So we're so glad you have it. You obviously known for your palate.
Yes. and listen, I still...
You still got to live.
Listen, I've had beignets down here already.
Good.
I just don't have as many as I normally would.
Everything in moderation.
Exactly right.
So if you're going Philadelphia food versus Kansas City food as the matchup here,
Wow.
everyone can ask you about the X's and O's, Mike. We really want to get the real
That,
stuff.
you know what? I have not been asked that question. That is a great
Ladies
question.
and gentlemen,
That's a
my
Hall
work
of Fame
here is
question
done.
right there.
Well, maybe one day I'll be next to you.
That's cheesesteak or barbecue. Wow. My mind is blown on that. You know what? Shockingly enough, I think I would take the cheesesteak.
Yeah,
There's no wrong answer
There
here.
isn't. And by the way, when I played in Kansas City, when I was a visitor to Kansas City playing, best smelling stadium in the league, and people, fans, when we left to go on the bus to go to the airport, would give us barbecue. I mean, they were the nicest fans. And
now they're the villains of the NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs.
My mouth's watering now. Look what you've done.
In Philly, they would throw the cheesesteaks.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly
They would give
right.
it to them, but they'd throw it
and tell you a few words along the way. Yeah, that's
Take
true.
This
yeah, that's
right
very
at your
true.
head. And a couple of batteries maybe
Boy,
tucked in there.
That's a great question. Wow, that's a really good
Listen,
question.
if I've impressed Mike Golic today, then my work here is done. Perloff, I'm going to take the rest of the day off. Mike, thank you so much. Stello by Dexcom. Go check it out. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
man. Appreciate it.
Excellent stuff. Time now for your Infinity Sports Minute with the Bogeyman, Andrew Bogusch.
What is happening right now?
All aboard!
Am I supposed to talk still? What's happening?
All right,
take it away, bro.
Go. Headlines.
No. Tomorrow afternoon.
Take it away.
Is the NBA trade
All
deadline.
aboard! I've got a gator in my hand.
Is that
Take
what
it
that
away.
is?
That's what you call it.
We need a Jimmy Butler resolution by tomorrow afternoon, and we maybe get another KD move. The Suns reportedly listening to offers for Kevin Durant, with the team stuck around the 500 mark. Luka Dončić, meanwhile, on the Laker bench for last night's 122-97 rout of the Clippers in their new building, and Anthony Davis watched the Mavs lose in Philly, 118-116. Dallas now 0-2 since the trade. Kyrie Irving still working through the divorce.
I was really shocked, and you just don't imagine that you're going to get ready to go to sleep, and then you find out news like that. So it's still a grieving process right now. Miss my hermano.
By the way, Joel Embiid was back for the Sixers last night. First game in a month, 29 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists.
So wait, Kyrie is upset. Luka looks sad. LeBron was shocked. Who wanted this trade? I don't understand.
Nico.
What?
Yeah,
Nico Harris
and Rob Pelinka both wanted this.
Wow, Rob Pelinka definitely wanted it.
Definitely. We just shocked Andrew Bogusch there a little bit. I love that Kyrie, it's like, you could also just get a trade the old-fashioned way, like I did, which is plant it with Shams Charania that you want out and then see what happens.
The Celtics won an Eastern Conference showdown 112-105 in Cleveland. The Knicks 121-115 winners in Toronto. And the Rockets gave one away in Brooklyn.
9.5 seconds to go. Whips it out top. Johnson a deep three. It's good with 6.9. Cuts the lead to 1. Rockets inbounding. Turn it over. Nets a steal. Russell a three. Good with 3.4. Nets take the lead. Wow!
Chris Carino on WFAN. The Nets 2 threes in 4.7 seconds to steal a 99-97 win from the Rockets, who have now dropped 4 in a row. From Brooklyn to Manhattan and a red-hot St. John's.
Richmond bounces at the sky. Hazubi ahead of the field is RJ, and he dunks it with 2 hands. RJ Lewis.
Beautiful.
And St. John's goes up by 8, 68-60.
John Minko, Brandon Tierney on Learfield. Number 12, St. John's alone atop the Big East after downing number 11, Marquette, 70-64 at the Garden. The Johnnies have won 9 straight, their longest win streak since the 84-85 season. Top-ranked Auburn handled Oklahoma 98-70, and number 14 Kentucky took a 98-84 beating that number 25 Ole Miss. Those Rebs led by 23 at halftime. Maggie Sabres have their first 4-game win streak since January of 2023, courtesy of a 3-2 win over Columbus. And Alex Ovechkin scored career goal number 878 into an empty net in the Cap 6-3 win over the Panthers. He's now 17 away from having the most goals all time. Guys, back to you.
Perloff, you are also rooting against the Sabres.
Apparently, every team I root for, Perloff has been rooting against. I think even the GW Colonials are probably in your
Revolutionaries.
sights. I'm sorry, yes, not Colonials. What's my alma mater called?
The Revolutionaries.
Yeah, they changed it. That's fine.
Let's be honest. I don't think the Sabres want the Sabres to have any success.
Do you know the Flyers beat the Sabres to win a Stanley Cup in 1970-something?
It's amazing you just pulled that right out.
I know. By the way, I have to double-check that one. Bogusch, you're the hockey guy. That's accurate, right?
They're not both in the East?
Oh.
No, back then it didn't work like that.
Okay, speaking of just pulling out random facts out of your behind. So there's a video that's circulating right now of a kid who's in college. And apparently, we didn't verify if this is true, but he's sitting in a class, and the professor said that if he can name every team to win the NBA title, starting with 2024 and going all the way back to the 40s, if he can do them all in a row off of his memory, he'd get an A in the class, or 100 on the test, or whatever it was. And so then he does it. And you see him going back. It's like Warriors, Spurs, Spurs, and he does the whole thing, going all the way back to the Rochester Royals or whatever, and St. Louis.
Who?
But do you think is that a skill, or is that just you have this unreal memory and you just memorized?
Or is that just
incredible.
a lot of time on Wikipedia?
No, I mean, no.
He clearly has like a photographic memory.
Let me ask you guys a question. I don't know if you all watch it. I watch it, and it's hard to tell because I just saw it. But I think I could have gotten back to maybe 1989, 1990.
There's no way you would have gotten. You can't.
I get
do this
it's
in a
so
row.
easy. It's actually, if you think about it, the only part where it gets really confusing is which was the Lakers and which was the Celtics. But because Jordan won a ton.
Okay, do it now. How many can you get to?
Well, okay.
Hold on one sec. Let me pull it up to make sure that you're right.
I don't even know who won last year. I can't remember.
It was the Celtics. We'll give them that one.
I think.
Well, you know what? I'm going to get confused in the 2000s.
Okay, hold on.
EJ and I can tag team it. How about that?
Okay, that's fine. And they'll see if you get an A on the test. But first, let me pull it up. Okay, I got the list of NBA champions. No Googling, guys.
I got up.
I was just looking at the time.
Google.
Okay.
Hold on, wait. This goes. But don't look. Don't look.
Oh, yeah, I did look. Okay.
Get out of here. You cheat.
I was just seeing like how long you're going to need to get this.
Okay, go.
Okay, well, obviously the Celtics beat the Mavs last year. The Nuggets beat the Heat before that. The Warriors beat the Celtics.
Yep.
The Bucks beat the Suns.
Yep.
The Lakers beat the Heat. The Raptors
Bubble title.
The Raptors beat the Warriors. The Warriors won in 18 and 17. LeBron and the Cavs won the year before that. The Warriors before that. The Spurs won the one before that. 2 Heat. The Mavs beat the Heat. 2010, Lakers. 2008, Paul Pierce, Celtics. 2007, Paul Pierce, Celtics. So was that? Oh, geez, it was. So they were the Spurs, and then the year before that was the Shaq Heat. The year before that it was the Spurs. Then it was, then it was Lakers.
You're up to 2004.
Yeah, 2000. Pistons. Oh, right. Oh, Larry Brown Pistons.
Correct.
Lakers 3.
No.
2003. You're out.
2003.
Done.
So 2003 is the Spurs.
EJ, pick it up. Now EJ, go from there.
2003 Spurs.
Failed.
2002.
That's the Lakers.
Lakers. 99 Spurs. 98 Bulls. 97 Bulls. 96 Bulls. 95 Rockets. 94 Rockets. 93 Bulls. 92 Bulls. 91 Bulls. 90 Pistons. 89 Pistons. 88 Lakers. 87 Lakers. 86 Celtics. 85 Lakers.
Yep.
84 Celtics.
Yep.
83 Sixers. 82 Lakers.
You're right.
81 Celtics.
Yep.
80 Lakers.
Correct.
Okay, 79.
All right, now back to Perloff. Whoa, they're really doing it.
79. Now I got to get who won first. It was Washington and Seattle went back to back. Oh, I'm gonna have to take a wild guess here.
Wait, EJ knows it.
Seattle,
then Washington.
Okay. Correct.
77 was the Blazers.
Yep.
76 was the which one was it's the Warriors or the Celtics, right?
Oh, I forgot the Warriors.
Yeah.
I think it might be the Warriors.
The one year was let's guess.
1976. Who won the NBA title? You guys are really impressing me. I mean, this is pretty wild.
And look at the Warriors forming.
Warriors 76 and Celtics 75.
That sounds right.
We're gonna go Warriors 70. Is that right?
1976. Wrong. It was the Boston Celtics. 75 was the Warriors.
Wait,
but you guys, I mean, wildly impressive.
Wait, what's and
you want to keep going? I mean,
no.
You lost,
74 was
74. Did they have the
I don't
NBA?
even know who
That's
74 was.
74. I have no idea. 73 was 73 was the Knicks, right?
Yeah, 73 was Knicks. Yeah, I don't know.
So 74 is the Boston Celtics.
So when it down, it's the Celtics or the Spurs. Right. You know what?
Well done, guys. Well
those
done.
Spurs teams were so forgettable in 2000. I knew they were going to trip me up because they had a Tom Brady-like run where they hung out for about 15 years at one time.
2003
You didn't get
had me like
tripped up,
hold,
though. You got
had me
it.
held for a second. but
Super Bowls, we all can do a long way because once you get in a rhythm of Super Bowls, it jogs your memory. Like we could all go a really, really long
we may
way.
need to do we need to be a tag team. On
I think
NBA
we need to
trivia.
do our own video for this.
I think we could do. Oh, by the way, and
Oh,
EJ
yeah.
are both draft nicks.
Oh, that's true too.
He's a little better modern one because I've never heard of some of these guys who get drafted out of overtime elite. But
Cooper Flag.
Wait,
Well,
Cooper
what about
Kupp.
his mom?
Cooper Kupp, second round Eastern Washington.
Two-Tone Tony says that Manny's telling EJ with his headphones. He's not telling me anything.
No.
And
We
first
would've
of all,
heard
we're all
that.
on the same feed, so Maggie would hear.
I would have heard
Yeah,
it.
so
They
no.
can't. He can't just talk to EJ.
But we
without
did see
setup.
this video on Instagram last night. That
I
is,
didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
I saw it, so that helped.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
at least you admit it. I was still very impressed. I don't think I would have been able to do
That
that.
guy knew the Minnesota Lakers and the Rochester Royals.
Yeah, back-to-back titles.
He
apparently
deserved
with
that.
the Royals.
And Maggie said, "Is this an important skill?" I'm like, "This man should be president of the United
You
States."
did
It is
say
most-
that.
he was crazy impressive. He had no heads up. Like I knew this was a thing.
Okay, but here's the thing. I get that this is impressive. Beyond what you guys just did was impressive, but he clearly has some kind of photographic memory to get all the way back there, right?
I would
If you
think he
just have
might.
a photographic memory, is that a skill, or were you just blessed?
No, that's a
with
huge
something.
skill.
But
Oh
he
my
didn't
God.
have to. He didn't have to learn anything to earn this skill. Or let's just say it's a photographic memory. You're born with that, right?
Right. So what do you mean?
So it's not a skill. A skill is something you
So
acquire,
Michael
like being able
Jordan-
to play golf.
Michael Jordan was born with the ability to jump 48 inches in the air. That's a skill.
But he also had to hone it. Like he had to work out. If he had ate potato chips on the couch for his first 18 years of his life, he wouldn't have been able to do it.
Michael Jordan flew out of the womb. No, of course not.
Ouch.
Yeah, having a photographic memory. Having a photographic memory is an important. That's a skill. No, that's not.
Can you put it on the poll? Is having a photographic memory a skill?
It's a great skill that'll get you very far in life.
Yeah, but I guess I think of a skill as something you have to learn, work for. If you're born with a photographic memory, you just have it. It's like being able to breathe.
Oh, I think of it more like he has incredible skills, and it doesn't differentiate whether that was honed or
Right.
God-given.
There we go. All right, well, 855-212-4227. That was really impressive, guys. Kudos to you. Lots more to do with us, including a surprise superstar on the trade block. I thought that we were done with these blockbuster deals.
Yeah.
Apparently not. We'll get to that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff here in New Orleans. Our great debate today was the most stunning Super Bowl moments of all time. Do a poll on that, EJ? Stunning Super Bowl moments. Grab that in just a moment. In the break, we were recording a video of Perloff with an assist by EJ trying to name every Super Bowl winner, starting with last year and going all the way back to Super Bowl I.
By the way, I don't think we put that video out because even I was bored. By 1996, I was like, oh, this is getting boring.
Well, we got to like 1983, and then we had to come back on. Our break was over, so we had to come back on the air.
It's actually, Super Bowls are a lot easier than NBA. We were talking about it because a guy and he's got an A in his class if he could name every NBA title. That dude knew like Rochester in 47. The Super Bowl only started in the 60s, so it gives you an advantage. Like if we had to do NFL championships, we'd have no idea.
Yeah, right. No, going all the way. Well, I mean, it's still back pretty far into the 60s.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the first bunch of Super Bowls were so iconic that everybody knows
remember them all.
Although there's Minnesota lost a lot of them. I can't remember who they lost all of them. I think we might get confused on the years in the 70s and 80s.
Let's go quickly to the phones. 855-212-4227. Dominic is in San Francisco. The most stunning Super Bowl moment was what?
Hi, thanks for taking my call. Hard to condense this down to a moment, but when the clock hit all zeros at the end of the fourth quarter, and the Jets had beaten the Colts after the Colts were favored as much as by like 18.
Yep.
That had to be real stunning, and it was at the time.
Absolutely. Joe Namath, I mean, the legend of Broadway Joe written right there, and the fact that he beat, Johnny Unitas, right? And
yeah, I mean, history.
Huge, and got Joe Namath obviously into the Hall of Fame.
That's actually the right answer.
If you look at his numbers. We asked for stunning moments. Like you went with Malcolm Butler at the goal line.
Yeah.
Just everyone and their mom thought that the Seahawks were going to be scoring there.
Right.
I went with Sean Payton doing an onside kick, a successful onside kick, when the Saints beat the Indianapolis Colts and kept Peyton Manning from winning his second Super Bowl ring, or delayed him from winning his second Super Bowl ring. We had two Giants moments from Manny and Bogusch, both the David Tyree catch and Scott Norwood's wide right. And then EJ went with the off the field.
Yeah.
And a little off color, quite frankly. Janet Jackson's wardrobe malfunction.
Calling all boobs.
Yes, we all remember it well. Apparently, it was the reason why YouTube was created.
And I said Us Weekly earlier, but also Rolling Stone did a long story about this.
So Rolling Stone, a little more reputable than Us Weekly, I would say, said that this is why YouTube was created, so that everyone could see Janet Jackson's upper half.
Yeah. The Joe Namath one, that's a reason that basically the NFL and the AFL merge, and that because of Joe Namath, like the modern NFL was formed. So I think that's the right answer. I think that's a good one. Like we never think about that anymore.
Yeah, I mean, became a legend, that's for sure. We also had some rumors today, and you're welcome to keep it coming on the most stunning Super Bowl moments of all time. It looks like maybe another superstar could be on the trade block before tomorrow's NBA trade deadline. Now, this is not Jimmy Butler. We know he's been available forever. But tell me the latest.
Oh, me. So, sorry, I didn't know it was me. So Kevin Durant, apparently on the trade block. Reportedly, the Rockets interested, and probably the Mavericks interested, which is a little surprising considering they just made a big trade for AD. And, of course, the Warriors also interested. So Kevin Durant on the block. Apparently, the Suns are making the decision if they can't get Jimmy Butler, then they might want to move on from Kevin Durant.
And pivot. The Warriors, to me, is fascinating.
To me, it's the Mavs. Like the Mavs did this trade, then lost their next two games, and they're out of the playoff standings. They need to be desperate. They can't not make the playoffs, so why not sell out the farm for KD?
But what did you just do? You had Luka. If Luka came back and was healthy, you don't think you're a playoff team? If Luka comes back?
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, I'm not saying that was the right call before. Like, you got to salvage something out of this. If they go on a massive losing streak and don't make the playoffs, that is it's already one of the all-time bad trades. Then it's the worst trade ever.
Okay, but see, there's another part of this that Brian Windhorst brought this up, so I want to give him credit for it. Or at least it's the first place I saw it. Which, even if you wanted to trade Luka and you didn't want to give him the max, what a lot of teams could do is actually give you the max, and they can trade you on the max. And actually, that's very appealing to other teams because they have a guy who's already under contract.
And that guy gets the supermax.
Well, he can't get the supermax from the new team. Luka Dončić
Right.
lost $100 million in this trade. Like, that's the other thing no one's talking about. He's not eligible for the supermax with the Lakers because only the original team that drafted you is able to give you the supermax. They call it the Kevin Durant rule.
I have right, but could you sign him to the supermax and then trade him, or does the supermax? Yep. Okay, so I would think that if they were making the supermax rule, they would have said if you sign this, you have to stay. You're saying basically you
I don't
trade
think
him?
legally you could probably say that, but
Well, I mean the supermax is definitely
that's just an incentive. It's just an incentive to stay
to keep stars in their own town.
local
market. But I mean, would that be an easy out on the supermax? Yeah.
Maybe. I mean,
I'm putting that loophole.
Now, you
in
can't trade a guy for a certain amount of time, right?
I think it's like 6 months.
Yeah,
or something.
because what you don't want is a Carmelo Anthony. You can't do the sign extension and then trade the guy immediately.
Yeah.
So it would take, I think, up to the next season's January. I think 18th is today, whatever it is.
It's kind of a Super Bowl tradition to have a crazy. We've already had our crazy NBA headline. We could get another one.
Man, if you watch that press conference with Luka Dončić when he got introduced as the new Lakers star, he looks like he just lost $100 million. I mean, he was slumped over on the chair. He was frowning. I think at one point he checked his watch, the time. When you go to hold up the jerseys, everyone usually proudly holds up the jersey across your chest. He had it low, the cameras could barely see it.
Oh,
Oof.
poor guy.
Yeah.
Nobody wants this except the Mavs GM.
Thank you to E.J. Stewart. Thank you to Manny Rodriguez, Bogusch, Kaplan. Thank you to JT and Bobby, who are here with us. Dave Marinick, who's here with us as well. Did I forget anyone? Peter King, Mike Golic, Ryan Leaf, and Nate Tice. And thank you, Weedos.